What is up, beautiful people? Happy Monday. Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as the Midday Show. That right there is your girl Adara, and I'm Sharif. And as per usual, we're going to wait for everyone to migrate on over from the other stream. But I made a boo-boo today, Adara. I did not load up the other hour stream. I loaded up the Big Kahuna stream, and that's no good, so I won't be able to do the shout-outs. So if I could just pass it to you for one quick sec so I can load that back.
I can do the shout-outs.
Do it. Kill it.
Okay, perfect.
Let's go.
Thank you so much. Jay, Zach, Nimit, Pampella, Stitch Lady, Pillsbury, Chase Bands, Darwin, Andrew Chow waving. Hi, we'll wave back to you here. Hold My Beer is in the house. We're still getting some people. Don't have a lot of people yet. Van Bick, Bright Awakening, Damn, Nick W, ND Trade, Brad Gober, Bears vs. Bulls, The Boring Man, Caputi Electronic Music, Kurt Hoffman, Michael Lloyd, RH, Christopher Wagner, Easy Trader, Kevin Mendoza. So many people coming into the chat here. Igor Lil, Molfar, T-Man, Tobias Hernandez, E. Ray, Ryan Picky Eater, Jonathan Canny, Emerson K. We got a lot of people coming in here.
I know. It gets a little challenging after a while.
Yeah, I tried to read as many names as I could.
You did better than me for sure there. What is going on, everyone? All right, let's get to what is moving at the moment. You guys all saw Apple. You guys all saw Google on the morning show with the Big Kahunas. They're all strong on the day. Right now, it's really looking like NVIDIA looking like the weakest of the seven, ironic as that may be, because, well, the conference starts today and NVIDIA has been the strongest as of late. So we'll keep eyes on this level as it now breaks below that $900 level. It's on its way into 896, to be exact, 896.65. LOD. It's doing the dance right now with resistance level 2 as it was above pivots, above resistance level 1, above resistance level 2. It didn't care about my pivots, but right now it is on the way down, giving up the ghost there at the $900 level. I traded NVIDIA today. I didn't trade NVDA. I traded NVDL. And this is the trade that I had on it. We waited for that first initial 900 dip to come in. That came in at around 1030. We took that long on NVDL, which is a derivative of the NVIDIA main stock. It's a little bit easier to manage, obviously, your trades and risk, et cetera, et cetera. But here's what I'm seeing on this. Consecutively lower highs, lower high, lower high. You have about 3 here, 3 crests, each lower than the previous one with that 900 or thereabouts flat bottom. It doesn't equate, obviously, into an exact level on NVDL as you are trading a derivative. Let's just say 41.5, 41 2/3 or thereabout. That's where it gave up the ghost on this latest flat bottom break around there. We'll have to wait and see if NVDL can catch a bid. You know, like Sean was talking about this morning, it's unlikely that we get an intraday catalyst for this name, seeing as how the conference starts at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, right when that closing bell rings. So you'll have to wait for the market recap show in order maybe to get some new news on this on the day. We'll keep eyes on NVDA, definitely goes without saying, until Thursday, because the conference is and for 4 days until Thursday. AAPL, obviously, and GOOGL in focus as well right now. I've already had a trade on Apple looking for that 177 hold, and now it's breaking down. So what's the next line in the sand? Well, we've got the volume weighted average price hanging around that 176 2/3, 176 1/2, depends where you started your VWAP generation. So we'll have to wait and see if it gives up, number one, the ghost at VWAP, and if it does it do the dance here to the north side above 176? And if it doesn't stop at the whole dollar level, then are we looking at that 175 1/4, which is that institutional level print high that we got at 8 a.m., basically the highest crest we have over here, aside from that 177 1/5 touch. So questions to be asked here on AAPL. Can it make its way up into that 180 area? We all know resistance is waiting for us at 180 bucks, owing to the level of support that we had there for so many months. Okay, so doesn't look like we're making it up to 180 right now, but we are at the volume weighted average price. So I'm all eyes at this level, wanting to see if Apple holds up above VWAP. It's very strong on the day. You feel like there is institutional involvement here with the latest headline, because I really don't feel retail can pump up a stock as aggressively as we've seen Apple pump up today, especially with all the weakness we've seen with Apple. So anyway, keeping my eyes on AAPL. We'll get to that lesson in a second. But yeah, it's going to be hard, obviously, to trade Apple and do the lesson. So we might have just to forego the Apple trade for now and then look to see what we can do after the lesson is explained. All right, guys, this is a wicked week on the lessons. I got to tell you, this is a bit more detailed than what we have typically for our lessons. Not going to be as general. It's a bit more technical, maybe not from today, but from tomorrow onwards. Today, we're just going to introduce the concept of a pullback and what the pullback trade is all about. And this is going to be maybe the starting of a series of weeks where we take one specific type of trade, like a breakout trade, a pullback trade, whatever. And then we're going to give you many variations of that trade for the week, so we can kind of get more nuanced with one specific topic rather than being general and giving you general topics on a day basis. So the basics of a pullback trade. So the basic pullback trade is a fundamental strategy, obviously, for day traders. It capitalizes essentially on temporary dips in an uptrend, so temporary dips within an uptrend, or rises within a downtrend. It works both ways, whether you're going long or short, within the larger trend. It often offers you potential entry points at a discount or a premium, whatever you want to call it, compared to the main direction. Let's talk a little bit about this and how to do it. So understanding the trend. So the first thing is you gotta ID the trend. Why? Because you need to be able to discern what you're gonna do from there on in. So the foundation of the strategy is a strong trend. You need a strong trend in order to get that quality dip trade in. So you're looking for a chart with constant higher highs and higher lows if you're looking for an uptrend, or lower highs and lower lows if you're looking for a downtrend. This establishes the overall price direction. The first thing we're going to do is what is the trend of the stock. Now, if the stock is not trending and it's consolidative, you may not want to fit it within the framework of this type of trade. Doesn't say that doesn't work, but maybe not with the details that I'm going to give you. Now, spotting the pullback, once you find a stock that is trending, now you're trying to ID the actual pullback. So now watch for price retracement against the trend. So imagine a runner, for example, taking a quick breather during a marathon. That's a pullback, essentially, okay? It's a temporary dip in an uptrend or a rise in a downtrend that creates a potential buying for a long or selling opportunity for a short. So examples of pullbacks and uptrends and downtrends are on this slide over here. So here we go. Thank you very much, Adair, for this USD yen comparison over here. You have, obviously, the US dollar was rising against the yen within this chart over here, and every single dip trade was a possible buyout trade, as evidenced by these pointing down trend lines, all of which were eventual buying opportunities. So that's what you're looking for, a chart similar to this, something that is trending up and to the right, down and to the right, which also has retracements, whether higher or lower, depending on whether it is a short or long. Here's the example of a short, which is the euro against the US dollar. So you clearly have a down and to the right trend. However, you do have these momentary pullbacks, these move ups, right? So these move back up for the short. So that's where you're looking to enter on a trade like that. So entering the trade, let's talk about how to get into this trade. So you're going obviously long in an upward trend. So if you see a pullback in an uptrend, this might be a good time to buy, go long the stock. It's like buying a discounted ticket on a roller coaster before it keeps on climbing. Kind of a belabored metaphor, but what the hell. And going short, kind of the same thing here. It's a downtrend. Conversely, in a downtrend pullback, it might be a good chance to sell short. Think of borrowing a stock like renting to sell it high during the pullback, hoping to buy it later at a lower price and return for a profit. So that is entering the trade. And some optional confirmation signals that you could be looking for when entering this trade. So while not essential, some traders look for confirmation signals at a pullback level to boost the confidence. These can be things like candlestick patterns, for example. So in an uptrend pullback, patterns like a hammer candle, a bullish engulfing candle, these all might indicate a potential reversal upwards. And here's a great example of that. I'm just going to pass it for a sec. Here is an example of a candlestick pullback with weak volume. And so you see that basic example right there. Look at the volume on the move, and it's lower than, so this is obviously a downtrend, and you're seeing the green candles in the volume bars lower on average than the red candles. So you're seeing that the pullbacks, the retracements to the high side are being done on weaker volume than was the selling. So that is something to always be on the lookout for there. And some technical indicators that help confirm the move, things like RSI, stochastic oscillators, for example. You saw the NOS boss use stochastics on Friday. Those are another indicator to help identify overbought and oversold. In case you don't know how to use the RSI and stochastics, just go over to the YouTube homepage of Trader TV, use the search bar, type in RSI or stochastics, and you'll get a nice video there. And here's an example of that using the pullback on the 50-day moving average. So this one was using the 50 period as its area of resistance, and every pop up into the 50 period was another opportunity to sell short, and that's another example of how to use the dip trade. So exiting the trade as important sometimes, or I would say all the time, as entering the trade, because you gotta capitalize on those profits. So first thing to note is obviously don't hold the trade forever. Don't get married to the trade. Aim to exit when the price decisively breaks above resistance in the case of an uptrend, or below support in the case of a downtrend. These price levels are price levels where the trend has historically faced difficulty continuing. So you should be looking to take most of your position off the table there, maybe hold a piece for the dream. And then another very important consideration here is how to tell the difference between a pullback, a regular pullback within a trend, and a reversal of the entire trend. So while pullback is a brief pause, right, in the trend before it continues on its way, a reversal occurs when the direction of the trend changes entirely. To avoid a potential trend reversal, be cautious when entering a pullback trade while the asset is approaching a major support or resistance area. Also, look out for any bearish signals. These are really important as well. If you're trying to enter an uptrend, or bullish signals if you're trying to get into a downtrend, that might indicate a reversal is on the horizon, guys. Yeah. I guess that was it. Maybe I didn't add that slide in. And remember, always use stop loss orders. This is obviously a simplified explanation, and the pullback trade is a versatile tool, guys, but there are more advanced variations like support and resistance pullbacks, measured move pullbacks. These are all different types of pullback trades we're going to be talking about this week. Make sure to hang out. And here's a bonus tip just to imagine what a pullback is like. So a pullback, imagine it as a sale, right? You're getting a chance to buy in an uptrend or sell in a downtrend at a potentially lower price than the main trend. So you're getting something on sale. Mastering the pullback trade will equip you with a valuable tool for navigating day trade opportunities. Thank you for adding those very important additions there, Jer.
Yeah, no, of course. And I think one thing too is we do love examples in the wild here on how to trade. So if anyone finds any cool examples of things that are in a pullback where you can, buy the dip or short the rip or whatever, or short the pops, I guess, what have you. I think there's a lot of opportunities there. NVIDIA is actually probably one example of a downtrend where you have these opportunities to short the pop. So I just drew kind of a trend line here, that 922 opportunity. I guess that was the start of the trend. Then you see that kind of move into that 914, gives you another opportunity. It's respecting the 9 EMA pretty decently. I did try to go long this unsuccessfully, but that was because we had a little bit more chop and churn. But generally, though, this one, at least up until that massive fall below earlier support at 901, there were definitely some nice opportunities earlier today to short those little pops in NVDA. And yeah, no, I'm really excited to get more into the pullbacks. We have a lot of hyper-specific pullback strategies and some tips and tricks about pullbacks that we're going to be discussing at length. And I am very excited and very, to talk about that here. Ken Ozan saying NVIDIA as one. Yes, yeah, I totally agree. I think earlier today, especially, there were these little opportunities to go short the rip. If anyone sees any other examples here in the wild, let's take a look and see what we have. But right now, yeah, I have that. Honestly, the semiconductors have not been my bestie today. This is a really small position in NVIDIA. Then earlier, I tried to go long AMD because You know, in my defense, we did have actually decent support at that 190-170 area. I watched this a couple times, and we kept bouncing. I was like, I like it. Then we go into that 190-140 area. We bounced, so I added there. It just kind of fell through. Honestly, you know, it's a boring trade. We got out when we got below 191. It is what it is. As Obi says, where's the next trade? So there we go. What are you looking at? I'm
looking at Apple. I'm also looking at the future. We're headed back down into 18.3, and the volume weighted average price as well as that 100-point level is at 18.3. So I like it for a short-term dip opportunity here now. Whether we hold up 18.3 and make new highs to break 18.381, make our way to 18.4, an entirely different story here. But I do like that area on the NQ. 18.3 is where the volume weighted average price is hanging out right now, and it is obviously the 100-point level. If you watch a show, you know my obsession with these 100-point levels on the futures as both areas of support and resistance. So the dip trade is already put in at 18.3, looking to possibly here to capitalize on a nice pullback trade. See how I did there? Now, with respect to AAPL, we weren't able to get that exact VWAP area because we're doing the lesson. So I waited for the lesson to finish and then got in a little high. So my line in the stand is going to be the 50 penny level. It's going to have to hold above 176.50. If it doesn't, we'll get out and then we'll look to reignite that trade. All right, so I have to focus on my futures trade, so I got to send it to you.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Happy trading with those trades. I'm trying not to say like good luck, good skill, I guess. I don't know on those trades. I am eyeing an opportunity to hop into the Cybertruck here in this Tesla dip buy, but we very much missed our opportunity there. I was interested in getting in 173.32s because we had that for a moment. Then we go to 36. We pull back. I was like waiting patiently to have the door swing open. But just like in real life, how you can't see the interior of the Cybertruck, I was not invited to go enter this Tesla long. So nice look here. I will continue to look for dip opportunities. This one a little bit more of a steep incline here, but there certainly is a little bit of that. A couple opportunities for that pullback trade of which we spoke earlier. Ahmed, thank you so much for the AED 10 AED super chat here. BA was my choice today. Nice rebound for support. Also, shout out to Neil with that leave the door open reference there. Much appreciated. Yeah, what a song. Also, but if you're Jerome Powell, you might be saying close the door. And we'll hear from him very shortly. And by very shortly, I mean in over 2 days, Wednesday afternoon. But yeah, Boeing, there's a really nice rebound here. And I'll switch to the 5-minute chart because I have the 3 up right now. Yeah, you can certainly see we get to that 177.60 area, and then we have a little bit of these wicks to the downside, gearing up, ready for takeoff, then flying to the upside, pun very intended. Let's see what we do if we can make a new high around this 181.12 area. I think that would be a really nice look because we kind of need a new high here. But what's interesting as well is we kind of get that pop into where we had these earlier areas of support around that 180 area. So 180 could be an interesting area for Boeing, continuing to bounce off this 9 EMA really nicely. Yeah, shout out to you. That's certainly a great call, Ahmed. What a look here on BA, a name that has certainly not had a shortage of negative catalysts as of late, but having a nice rebound, still down about 1% on the day for Boeing, flying to the upside. Jay Lee and some other people in the chat as well mentioning SMCI. So let's see what definitely not super micro move super micro is making. Oof. Yeah, we fell. Jay Lee saying SMCI just dipped to 991, low of day, already back up $10. Indeed it is. Right now we are, honestly, this is almost a $1 spread for SMCI. So honestly, kind of small potatoes for SMCI, which is a name that does have a bit of a reputation for spreadiness, for lack of a better term. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to say bear flag, but I kind of will say bear flag. We had this massive move down here in the 5-minute, right off the 930. Then we see this chop and churn continue to break to the downside. So for me, a bit of a classic bear flag setup, or down, as Sharif just said here. JPO saying Boeing must have just put Red Bull in the tanks. I think the stock certainly did with that massive propelling movement back to the upside here off of those lows around 10. Yeah, I mean, the stock is a really nice look here for Boeing. And yeah, shout out to Ahmed. Thank you for the super chat. And what a setup here on BA. Yeah, there's so much going on here. How'd that future trade go?
Good. Took like 15 points off that and got out of dodge. So happy about that. NVDA, keeping my eye on this one because it's coming into pivots. at 880. Now, I'm not trying to say, you know, pivots is the end all and be all, but the closing print on Friday is awfully close to the pivots. And by awfully close, I mean $1.50. And that's pretty close when you're talking about a $900 stock. So I definitely want to keep an eye at 880, 878 or thereabouts, that general area, to see whether NVDA does find some support around there, because that's a more important level for me to keep eyes on. So right now we have a low of day 882 and 2/3. Right now, keeping an eye on this next $4, $2 to $4. What we do at 880 to 878 or 878, excuse me, or thereabout. Definitely will be keeping eyes on that. Now, guys, I mentioned this to you guys on Friday, but I want to mention it again because a lot of times we're looking at NVIDIA, but you know, retail traders at home may not be comfortable punching in, you know, sizable amounts of shares on NVIDIA because it's very expensive. So there are other ways to play NVIDIA to capture on the volatility. There's NVDL, which is the one that I traded. What NVIDIA long. There's NVDS, which is the short. And then there's a more expensive one that's around 90-ish bucks or so last time I checked on Friday, NVDX. So if you're looking at playing that NVIDIA trade and you don't necessarily want to punch long or short NVDA, there are these other opportunities that you can get into. And as I'm watching NVIDIA, it looks like it is finding a momentary area of support. It did dip down into 882 and 2/3. It now found support back into almost 889 or thereabouts. It's trying to do a dance right now with this green candle. Nothing as an indicator for me to punch long yet on the name. I like it though. I'm going to keep eyes on it. I'm still in this trade on AAPL. I'm looking for Apple to hold 177 or thereabouts. I already wet my beak on a little trade there. Looking for a much bigger move, possibly into that third of a dollar. That is where the high of day is. We already have 2 attempts at that 177 and a third. Both have rejected. Sorry, at 3/4, excuse me, 177.71. So I'm looking for that 3/4 of a dollar move. Otherwise, my line in the sand is going to be the break of the volume weighted average price, which is right now on my 5-minute chart here at 176.60. So that requires me to have about 24 pennies worth of buffer over here on AAPL. But yeah, keeping my eye on 18.3 as a hold. Pleased with that dip trade that I had on 18.3 on the MNQ. Keeping my eye on NVDA to hold above 880 or 878 or thereabout. That's pivots and the closing print. No other trade for me. I'm going to get into my small cap gapper charts in a second. There's 6 today making moves, so there's plenty to talk about it there.
Yeah, those are gorgeous little bites of the apple there on that AAPL chart. Definitely Tim cooking, especially with that catalyst. And also, June is looking spicier and spicier for Apple.
It is.
Heading into that developer conference. I think certainly going to be lots of developments. I couldn't think of a better word there coming out of that conference. I do have a trade that I would like to discuss for a moment. We did have that AMD iffy situation earlier today, which was just kind of a matter of I really should have been going short. I saw something I liked, but it probably wasn't enough to enter a trade over, especially because it wasn't a range move in the way I normally like. However, then I see we bounce off this 190 gloriously. That was also an area we bounced off of earlier. I said, Adara, watch this. There might be something here. I let us, have this trampoline motion off the 190 a couple times. Then I get in, really small position. I take it into just shy of 190.50. I think we had 190.44, and then we had a couple shares left because it only got part filled, so I filled the rest around 190.35. Please, this punch. Small position still very much down on the day, thanks to some NVIDIA-related situations. The chips have not been my besties, but you know what? We're going to have to see if we can do some more chip and dip or chip and rip, what have you, heading into the rest of the day, or like maybe also some non-chip names. It's really just trying to look for something a bit rangier, and as I say that, I see Microsoft on my side chart. Microsoft, what do I have? I have weirdly I have the 1 minute on my side chart. I might have to change that, but I do think, we have a little bit of a double bottom here, that 418.12, at least on the 3 minute. Now we're seeing, or the 1 minute, sorry, now we're seeing some curl off that 9 EMA. I'm going to have to stare at this chart on a couple more time frames, but I'm interested.
Something's going on with the Amazon, and I don't have a reason it's moving yet. I see people in the chat talking about it. We got it, guys, but there is a big, big move down here. I mean, relatively speaking, because Amazon has had tight range. It's essentially 176 and 2/3 to the high side, and the low is 174 and 3/4. So we had a big move down. I see this candle over here. We still haven't made lower days. We still haven't even made a lower low. So I see everything. I don't have an entry on my blotter to explain the move down in Amazon. If there is one that shows up, I definitely will bring it to you guys. But at the moment, nothing coming in on AMZN, but just a big move down. It could just be intraday action here because we haven't had too much of a range on Amazon. So still green on the day, up 0.5%, holding above 175 bucks for now. So let's not make too much of it. But I definitely saw that sell off and definitely bring you anything that we have with respect to that. Now, we'll cover some more large caps in a minute, but I want to mention the small cap gappers, guys, because there is a bunch that are moving today. So there's a lot of topping tail candles too in a lot of these, and I'm not sure exactly why. I think we're kind of cycling out of the bullish time for these small cap gappers, and that's typically, you can typically tell that when there's no continuation, right? So you'll have these one move, that you have a one big move, and that'll be it. It'll be a sell-off the rest of the time. Maybe it'll a couple of moves, but you can usually tell when these ones are strong because they continue, and you'll have multiple in triple-digit territory, and then when we're kind of getting out of that small cap gapper phase, you'll see a lot of them just are one-off moves, and there's no follow through. So the first one, IMRX. This one, let me tell you the details on this one. So the company profile, it is about $80 million market cap. The float is about 21.2 million shares. This one, it sadly doesn't have a definable pre-market high, but this one was running on Thursday, but in the negative direction. It was a big sell-off. So this one, I probably won't trade this one, even if it gets above VWAP, which it's tried to do multiple times, because it doesn't have that pre-market high that I can say, look, it needs to get above this 3.25. This pre-market high that we popped up into over here, that was at 10 o'clock. So maybe there is a trade to be had on this one, and it is gapping up nicely on the day 40%, so I thought I'd bring it to your attention. But definitely it negates to cross one of the most important requirements for me on the small cap gappers is it has a definable pre-market high and it breaks above that definable pre-market high. The other one that I'm looking at here is GoEV. Now this one, it's not really a small cap gapper. This is a legitimate company. It's been on my watch list for like 4 years because of, it was a pandemic darling, like with many of these other ones. Canoe, it makes EVs. Essentially, that's what it does. $173 million market cap. The float on it, very small, 2.2 million share float. So this one can get going in a hurry. Let me check the short float on this as well, because something tells me there might be an important short float.
It's like 12.
Yeah, I had a feeling. I knew it, because these EV style companies. Adair is bang on, 12.05%. So definitely not negligible, something to keep an eye on. Now, this one, definitely tradable. It had a definable pre-market high in that $2.50 area. It doesn't have to be a crest. It can be a range as long as it's definable. And it broke through that with the viciousness, as Adair likes to say, right at 9:30, making that IB high right at 270, and then that wasn't the end of the page there. We kept going. $3.88 HOD, and it is trading above the volume weighted average price, which is a smidge above $3. So this got 3 check marks beside its name. It ticks off all the boxes. This one is absolutely tradable in my book. Now, I'm not going to chase it at high, so I'd be looking to get it at the volume weighted average price at the whole dollar area. It'd have to be a dip trade. That way I could say to myself, well, look, my line in the sand is going to be the break of 275. That's the low over here. So if I get in 3, I can risk 25 pennies in order to make, say, $1. So that's a decent, that's a 1 to 4 there, because the high is 388 and you're looking for a break of the high. So possibly setting up a dip trade on GOEV at $3. Who knows if it makes it down there? Maybe I'll sit at the volume weighted average price at 305. So this one also presenting us with opportunities, Adair. And then STI. STI's multi-day runner. You guys saw this one last week. Let's talk a little bit about it in case you missed the deets last week on it. The company's name is, what the hell is this? Solidyne Technology, $257 million market cap. The float, very similar to GoEV, 2.4 million shares rather than 2.2. Again, a lot of check marks beside its name. Definable pre-market high, trading above VWAP, breaking through the pre-market high. It's got all the check marks. So this one, good to go on that in that regard. But the thing is, though, I mean, it had a nice break of that 350 pre-market high. We got that at around 1040, but it was a topping tail candle. We got to 3 2/3, and then we retraced all the way back down into the volume weighted average price at 314. What's up, Katina Man? The Katina Man is short 890 on NVDA. He's only $7 in the money. So what's up? It's going. It's continuing to go. It's on its way down to 880. Shout out to the Katina Man. We just finished telling you guys, if you don't want to punch into NVDA because it's expensive, you have NVDL, NVDS, and NVDX. So make sure you're looking at those. You're apprised of those if you want to trade NVIDIA and you've got a smaller account. Shout out to Sean, who's printing on NVIDIA. With respect to STI Ram, we're right at the volume weighted average price at 315. What I do like about this, though, is a sequence of higher lows and the holding of the 50 period here on STI. So this one's not really kind of giving up the ghost, so to speak, but it'll have to stay above the volume weighted average price if it wants us to trade it. There's a couple of other ones here. I feel like I've been going on for a little bit too long, so I'm going to throw it back to Adara. But when we get back, I'm going to be talking about LICY, which is also a big PIXY, Pixie. Who remembers Pixie? That one's back up 25%. And then you heard the Neil and the Sean talk about this one, ACB. They're looking at MSOS, MSOX, cannabis moving again, thanks to Vice President Kamala Harris.
Yeah, those small caps do not want to quit, not one iota. There were so many going on this morning. I was like looking and like, oh my gosh, this one's moving, that one's moving. So a lot of them caught up on volume as it went. Like GOEV didn't have a ton of volume heading in to the pre, and then we open, and then it's like everyone's trying to say go EV. Also, shout out to Sean, who was about to be a cool $10 in the money. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, yeah, we're gonna get NVIDIA. Ooh, let's see if we get below that 881. I feel like a stocktioneer. This is, yeah, what a trade. Did try to go long this for a very small share size earlier. It is what it is. We lost, we live, we learn. But certainly, Sean is living and learning and loving it over in this short, so.
That is a good point, because we were long in there, we flipped short.
Yeah.
We learned.
Thank you. Yeah, Sean's saying he was long and then flipped short, so we learn. Also, another thing we can learn about is Brendan and Sean's thoughts on Shamrock Shakes. Woo! NVIDIA getting close to that 880.
It is.
Are we going to break below?
Right there it is, baby. Ooh. So keep your eye on this level, guys. This is where the closing print is. So we could find support at this level. The dude's $10 in the money.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're short with him right now, keep your eye on 878. That's where the closing print on Friday is.
Yeah, and also the low of the day is 880.42. So we're getting very close. We just made it now in that big move down. But also, check out the podcast this weekend because it was so much fun. You have Sean and Brendan talking about Shamrock Shakes, and Brendan and everybody's thoughts on those. It's pretty entertaining. Definitely give that a watch. Really good one this week. Always fun to check out. NVIDIA getting really spicy. Also, that NVIDIA sell-off did unfortunately hurt my little Microsoft trade. I'll talk about it. We did get part of this out, but we're still red on the day because I did add a little bit to this. I was basically planning on ranging this for the higher highs, higher lows around 418.50. We could not crack 419. 419 was for some reason a fortress on Microsoft. I was looking at potential resistance around a 419 like 20 area, but I guess I should have been more cognizant. That's cool. We lost a little bit. I watched us get below that 418.30 and said I have to yeet out of this trade. We did. Lost a little bit there, but not a huge position. What's more interesting to me, though, now is this AMD range that's starting to form. I had lots of fun trading the AMD range. Last week, I actually put that trade on my Instagram, TraderTV Adara. Just kind of what I learned from that. But yeah, basically what I've learned is if there's a range that's continuing to work and you're staying on it, why not stay with it? I think this AMD might break down a little bit, though, because it seems to be, you know, we talk about, Obi talks about Mother Market. I've talked about Mother Bitcoin for some of these crypto names. I think AMD might have like Mother NVIDIA. I don't know, because these ones seem to trade in tandem. That being said, AMD is really spicy around that 190. So if I can keep punching in, don't mind if I do. Or on the opposite of that, I'll go short 190.50 if that holds up. I think there's a range here, and I have no problem playing it in both directions. You know, as Sean was saying with NVIDIA, you live and you learn. You have to be willing to flip the style up. So We're gonna have to see what we do on AMD. I really do not mind I don't mind the idea of continuing to range here. Looking out for any other range trades on the horizon. Definitely let me know, because this has been such a crazy day and a lot of volatility and certainly not my type of opportunities opening up here. But I do like this AMD. That's the best look I have. What about you? How's
Good.
Apple going?
It's good. I mean, I'm holding a tiny piece here. Very profitable on it already. 3-month bill auction just came out 11:30. And it's I don't follow the 3 or the 6 months, so I don't know what to compare them to, but they're both higher than the previous print. So keeping an eye on this market, I didn't really get that huge move. We don't typically get that huge move off the Treasury bill auctions at 11:30 anyway. It's typically the 1 o'clock ones that make the moves. But thank you, Dan, for pointing that out. I do appreciate it. We'll see what the futures does. Right back at 18.3, doing that dance here at 18.3 yet again. So this time it did break below the volume weighted average price, but that doesn't mean anything. It could absolutely pump up from where it is at the moment. We'll have to wait and see. So 18.3 is on watch. It's at 18.305 at the moment. NVIDIA holding up just for a moment above that 880 area. I was just talking Kyle Burdett and Magic Mike in the chat. They were giving me their opinion on NVIDIA, and I still feel the same. I want to see weakness below 878, and I think then that would be quite good. Friday's closing print gives way here. NVIDIA could really find some negative momentum downside. It's already had plenty of negative momentum. It's off 924. And we're talking about 880, so it's $44 worth of range today, right now on NVDA. Fantastic look. Magic Mike saying he's taking the, I think a derivative product. He was saying he was looking at the 3 times long. What is the ticker for the 3 times long? Let me know, by the way, because I don't know what it is. So keeping an eye on that. Let's go back to the other small cap gappers that I didn't finish off last time. And it goes by the name of LICY. So let's talk a little bit about this one. LICY is Lie Cycle Holdings. This is $183 million market cap. The float is a little larger, about 131 million shares. There is this giant topping tail candle here at $1.29, and now we're on our way down into $1. We're holding $1.03. You have the volume weighted average price at 101, and obviously there's that dollar level 1 penny below. So all eyes to see if we hold that $1 level. That is a trade in and of itself. That's why I have my scanner filtering for basically it starts showing me all the small cap gappers that break above 85 pennies. There's a trade to be had through the break of $1, and there's a trade to be had on the defend of $1. Not saying that it always stops there or always rejects off that, but something to be cognizant of. So if you're looking for that $1 trade, I know Neil likes LICY on its way down into $1 after printing $1.29 high. Now the other one, ACB. Now this one is a fantastic looking chart. Look what this did on Friday. So it was awfully strong again on Friday, and then it's continuing today. Now, in case you're wondering why wheat is moving, there was a White House invitation, dinner, or whatever, meet and greet, whatever you want to call it. An individual who was charged and incarcerated with a marijuana-related offense was invited to the White House. Vice President Harris made statements to the effect that, essentially she's trying to put pressure on the DEA to reduce it from a Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. Nothing we haven't heard already from the Department of Health and Human Services. They've been trying to get the Drug Enforcement Agency to do that for a few months now. So Kamala Harris making statements, and that's, I guess, being viewed as a bullish signal. ACB at day's high, guys, 21 3/4% or 21 1/3% right now, looking to come into that $4 area. It did break above that, let's say, 7:50 p.m. high on Friday at 384, so it is above that level. So let's keep eyes on ACB because it's printing great. And then Pixie, PIXI, this one's showing up after a little bit of a hiatus off there. Let me give you the details here on Pixie. So Shift Pixie is the name of the company. It's a $23 million market cap, so tiny. The float even smaller, 523,000 shares. So a little over 500,000 shares. This one had another topping tail candle here right there at 1020 into $4.80. It is now hugging the volume weighted average price after that big retracement down into 380. So gives up $1 from top to bottom right there on the crest into the trough. Now it's somewhere in the middle at 4.25, trying to hold above the volume weighted average price. It had a bit of a dip below VWAP here, but got bought up immediately. The volume, though, I gotta tell you, awfully suspect on a name that's $4. It hasn't even done 1 million shares of volume today, 810,000. That's not going to cut it for me. Can't manage risk with Bubka's volume like that. So keeping my eyes on this one to kind of see what we get. And I'm already out of the Apple trade. I got stopped out through the break of the, I believe it was 60 penny land, but I was holding negligible amount of shares, so still profitable on the name. As we definitely get that move down by the future into 18.3, it's going to be a matter of whether we can hold the 100-point level or not.
Yeah, this has been a really, really interesting market. Certainly lots of ups and downs and all arounds. Some people asking why is Nvidia down so much? It could be a case of, usually we have buy the rumor, sell the news leading up to event, cough, cough, Meta Connect into September. This could be an example of selling the rumor and buying the news. We did have that move up initially in Nvidia, and we're still up about 1%, but we have had quite the sell-off. AMD is the one I've been trying to play chip-wise, although I did try to play Nvidia earlier as well. Was not successful, but that's all right. AMD, I'm watching to see what we do around VWAP in this 191.40 area. Initially, we were rejecting this 191 area, so I liked it for the short. I don't love my entry, though. I did get in 190.84, so I might have waited for the move down a little bit too much there. We're slightly breaking above 191s, though, so this is going to make me certainly very cautious indeed. I did like that 191 failure, but it looks like AMD is now trying to, AM destroy me just a little bit. Not a huge position, so all good there. Really just trying to get more comfortable trading this name because this is a name that I have occasionally had some issues with. I had a lot of fun trying to fight with this name and trying to get more comfortable with it last week on Friday, so we're going to have to see how this goes. I did initially like the setup. It looks like we're kind of getting into my area of interest unless we fail this, or we're leaving my area of interest, I guess.
Doesn't matter.
Unless we fail 191.40. It looks like maybe we are, so I'm going to stay in this for the time being. Jimbo Slice saying PayPal's, remember PayPal's AI day? Yeah, that was PayPal's AI day I remember really well too because I had a short leading into that. Then we break above my area of interest, I leave. Then we drops like $3 or something. Yeah, PayPal's AI day, I certainly remember. Thanks for reminding me about that one, Jimbo Slice. That one I also think I think that trade's also on my Instagram. But yeah, that was, PayPal's AI day was a very good example of being patient when you try to go short on those days. Because you might have the right idea and your timing might be a little bit wrong. Maybe give yourself some more stop loss. So, of course, not advice, just my take on a very specific trade that will always have me slightly traumatized. We broke above that 191.40. We're out of AMD, very much down on the day. A little bit disappointed because I think last week I was feeling comfortable with my strategy. But you know what? Where's the next trade? Looking for more ranges. Excited to keep going on this day. Jay Lee wants to talk about Weight Watchers or WW International. Yeah, this one has been really struggling as of late, I have to say. Today we're up about 17%. Is there any specific news on this today? Oprah Winfrey shares why she was motivated to host a primetime special on weight loss. So I guess that's more kind of generally associated. But yeah, and also on Friday they said that they were going to be on track to beat their previously provided Q1 numbers, so that could have given a bit of a move up. We kind of made the peak of this movement here at 280. Now we look like we're maybe trickling down. If we can avoid making a lower low here at 264, that could be a nice look. But yeah, definitely on the move up. 5.5 million shares of volume, but also we have to contextualize this with some of the more massive moves down we had last week on some rumors that they were meeting with lawyers to discuss bankruptcy. So bit of a mixed picture for Weight Watchers. And look at this volume that we had on that move down those last couple of days. So yeah, I think certainly with this one, very important to remember all of the context of the chaotic way that this one's moving. It also would be interesting to see us break above that earlier sort of flat bottom break around 287.
All right. Thank you, Benton C, for mentioning Adobe. So he's like, look, this looks like a good example for your trade today. And absolutely, Benton, because what we're looking for is a general uptrend, but with intermittent dips that we can get in on, right? Because we're looking at buying the pullback in the lesson today. Thank you very much. Perfect example. Obviously, Adobe a bit more expensive of a stock, obviously, so maybe not the best day trading stock, and also the liquidity on Adobe tends to be a little bit less. But your suggestion is well taken, and I definitely agree with you. Higher highs, higher lows, but with clear dip opportunities. And the thing is, Benton, that I like where it's holding up. Let's just take a case in point. So this move over here into 506. You have a bit of a double top at 506. Not really a double top in the exact sense because it doesn't break the neckline, but you know there is resistance at that 506 level. It's rejected a couple of times. Then you give up the ghost at 506. So you end up taking it. It makes its way all the way up to 509 and a quarter. But look where it holds up twice, right at that 506 level. And so you're going to see in the lesson that we have coming up this week about pullbacks into resistance and support, it's going to be this exact trade right here, where you're getting dip trades, and the dip trades are off key levels of support or resistance, depending on whether you're going long or short. So thank you for pointing this out. Definitely point well taken, and I probably will clip this for an example if we were to ever to redo this trade again. So shout out to Benton C for showing me this. But I got to get to this here, Adara. Like, I mean, this is a very important headline here. Obviously, you know, we've made fun of Manchester United. I've made fun of Manchester United. I think they're a hideous team, and you know, it only really is. Forget about them. Now, anybody who loses to them, what do we say about that team? So my old man's already gotten the trolling, and now it's time to troll another good friend of mine, and he goes by the name of Mr. Orange Shades. Mr. Orange Shades is also a very big supporter of Liverpool. Mr. Orange Shades. All right. But the whole point is Liverpool is now out of the FA Cup. Because, you know what? I got to give credit to Manchester United. This is the only tournament that they actually had left. I mean, they're not going to win the Prem. They're already out of the Champions League. So, I mean, this was like a do or die for their season. So I don't blame Liverpool too much for losing here. But the fact of the matter is they were leading twice. They gave up 2 leads. United came from behind every time, and then they ended up scoring, as you can see there, in the 122nd minute. It was a hell of a game to watch. So I'm just trolling Neil. I'm just joking, obviously. But it was definitely a wicked game to watch. I watched it with my old man. And, well, yeah, you know how he probably feels at this point, right? So, guys, Apple back into 176 here. So it's coming into that whole dollar level. And the thing about that whole dollar level is it's right at the 50 period. So you know exactly how the Katina man feels about the 50 period. You know how the Neil feels about the 50 period. But, you know, it seems to be that there's much price action at that 176 level to really justify a hold, aside from being the whole dollar level. Right? The area that I was looking at as a key area of possible support was 175 to 175 and a quarter, and it's really owing to this crest here that we had in the pre at around 8 a.m. Otherwise, it was really uninterrupted up and to the right for AAPL. We'll watch what it does at the whole dollar level right here at 176. So Apple giving back some of the move that it made today. What's up, Katina man? So somebody's reloaded again. We're at 890. So the Katina man's reloaded at 890 on NVDA. So yeah, another $110 winner, one $6 winner. 889.20. So same thing. 890. I mean, we're talking pennies here on a $900 name. So yeah, guys, if you want to trade NVIDIA and you don't want to punch in on the actual name itself, NVDL, NVDS, and NVDX. Check those ones out.
Yeah, I should have done that. I ended up getting in NVIDIA, and I mean, you know, I definitely probably got out of this a little bit too early. I should have just taken part out at 88 instead of the whole kit and caboodle. Got involved at 889s. I watched, 888, 98. I waited for a couple failures of that level, then I was ready to go, punched in. We got to 890. I was going to get out if we got decisively above 890. We rejected 890. I was like, there we go, Adara. And then I was like, you know, I really was happy with $1 just because I had some weaker trades earlier today. So I just really wanted to take a trade that I felt comfortable with to kind of get back in the game, feel a little bit more comfortable. But shout out to Sean in the red and blue lumberjack with the red Apple watch strap to match. So not a perfect juicy reference there, but congrats to Sean for that awesome trade. That was a beautiful reload there at 890 NVIDIA. That 890 rejection was spicy. I'm going to be watching what we do around here. I do think there's some opportunity to play this NVIDIA. And I think what we're doing at 886 has been a little bit interesting to me as a bit of a scalpier person who clearly does not like to stay in trades for too long. I've noticed we get to 886 and then we kind of peter down a little bit. We kind of die out. So I think if I can take a couple dollars like this 884, $1.50, 884.50, 886. I think that could be a bit of a promising short just to go. So I'm going to have to wait and see what we do here, but I don't mind that trade at all. That's really the main thing I have on my radar at this moment. Microsoft seeing a little bit of chop and turn in the 1 minute. I need to probably change my side chart from 1 to a 3. But seeing the same kind of thing in the 3, it looks like we really are seeing lower highs, lower lows. There could be some opportunities here. I think right now we're probably a little bit too far in the movement down for me to get interested. But if we're talking about shorting the pullbacks or getting involved in pullbacks, Microsoft giving you those opportunities. On the short side, I tried to play it really scalpy on the long side and just didn't take everything out appropriately. But I think this Microsoft short to the down side. Down. Coming off that 420.50 top. Another, I can't see the pamp. I can't see the, you know, we try. But yeah, I think this move down on Microsoft is beauteous. I think there's certainly some opportunities there. NVIDIA encroaching upon its earlier bottom.
Beauteous?
Beauteous, yeah.
Ooh, okay. I think you said beauteous, not me. I heard it.
Oh, there we go.
There you go. Okay. I don't think that's the very first time in the history of How to Trade and the Midday Show that the word beauteous has ever been uttered. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm very confident saying it. Neil feels the same way.
Good times. Yeah, this is a really, it is a nice look on NVIDIA. I didn't realize I even said that. But yeah, look, we're trying to, could we make a lower low? If we bounce off that 881 area, are there some opportunities? Je ne sais pas. I'm going to have to wait and see because we participate. We don't anticipate up in here. I'm excited to keep trading. Darwin's saying that I guess it has been said maybe.
Yeah.
I can't tell if that's sarcasm.
I think he's trolling there.
Oh, okay. I'm not good. Thank you for the sarcasm check.
That's all
there we
good.
go.
It's all
Sharif
good.
is like my sarcasm check, and it's always much appreciated. But yeah, also appreciated is something in NVIDIA once I see the setup I like.
All right, let's chat about some other names here, Dara, because I think we gave up the ghost at 18.3. So essentially, we had a couple of trades possible at 18.3. I took one of them, and there was a second one that was presented to you over here, but the bounce up wasn't as aggressive as the one that I took. It only moved up about 15 points, and now try the other side of that. We're 15 now points lower than 18.3, so we're on the way down here. We gave up the ghost at the 100-point level. We gave up the ghost at the volume-weighted average price, and now it's like, okay, so where do we find that key level of support? I'm going to be looking at resistance level 1, which is the teal. Trust the teal, baby. On the teal dotted line on my chart is not Max's teal. That's his volume-weighted average price. So we'll see what we get at that T line. And it's not just because it's resistance level 1 on pivots, but it's at the 50-point level. So, you know, the 50-point level, not nearly as big to me in future world as the 100-point level, but we're going to keep eyes on it in any event. Then below that, we have 18.2, really. And then 18.2 actually does have some price action support. So it's not just the 100-point level on its own, but there is this little crest here that we made at around 5 a.m. in the pre at around 18.2. So we'll be looking to see, number one, do we make it down there? Number two, do we hold up at those levels? So questions to be asked here on the future. Now, Tesla. This has been a rocket ship today, right? And this is like eerily reminiscent of how Tesla would trade last year. Right? It was a great 2023 for Tesla. It was the #1 options traded name in the entire year. Options traders absolutely love Tesla. I don't know if that's the case anymore. I think probably NVIDIA may have overtaken that. I'm not sure. But this is what we kind of saw on Tesla last year. These parabolic moves, 5, 6, 7% days. We get that rejection off 175 or thereabouts, 174 and a fifth. Now we're kind of coming down below the 10 period here and trying to hold up at 173. So let's see, this is the first time we've retraced off 174 break down into 173. So let's see if we get that hold up there. Now, there's really not a lot of price action to support this on the 5. But when you flip to the 1, you see an awful lot of topping tail candles into 173. That got rejected. Here's what I'm talking about. So initially, when we were trying to make our way up into 173, look what happened over here, right? We get up into 173 and a quarter, and we reject. And then we actually consolidate a little bit at 173. And we're kind of doing that right now. We're dipping a little bit below 173, but not really putting in those aggressive lower lows. So I want to see how we do at this area. It's kind of a random area to find support, but that really is not the point. The point is, where are we finding actual support, or where are we going to consolidate here? So watching this area here on TSLA, if it gives up the ghost at that level, though, what's the next level that we have? So let's go back and have a look. I like this 171.50 area. Look at all this chop over here, and then we have to really go down to 171. That was the top there at around 830 before we bounced off resistance level 1 and then really took that bad boy to the north side. So Tesla getting that nice bounce up here, almost 6% on the day. It was up over 6% as a result of these price increases they're putting in North America and Europe. And the market likes that. Well, you know what price increases means, right? Usually demand. You don't increase your price if you don't have demand, right? So that is probably maybe kind of foreshadowing what we might hear, maybe, from Tesla on the next earnings call. When did they report? Like end of this month? Or early next month?
I don't mean to put you on the spot. They reported last time January 18th, I believe. So let's find out.
Wow, it's been a minute.
Earnings. Okay, so they are reporting April 17th, 2024.
Okay, yeah, so we got like a month. Yeah, okay, so it's still
crazy. Only a month. Oh my gosh, time flies.
I know, right? Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see. I just, my thinking, the way my mind works is Elon's not going to put up money, increase the price if he's not selling these cars. So we'll see. Anyway, getting a curl up off 173 right now. So it looks as if that 173 bottom holding for now as we make another 5-minute candle to make a newer high above the first. Let's see how high we can get. It's already a 174 3/4 HOD. Can we break through that 175 area? Time will tell, but Tesla looks like a good trade, kind of the opposite trade right now of AAPL. That's starting to curl back down. In fact, it's breaking through 176, breaking through the 50 period. So kind of looking the opposite of each other right now, Tesla and Apple.
Yeah, Tesla and Apple are both two very different. I know two companies you're both interested in as well. I think that they're really exciting innovations coming out of both of those, especially, news catalysts too, right? Apple, although as Neil said, and he and I were having this conversation off camera this morning, I think that news definitely does seem on its face more beneficial for Google because it shows that Apple is kind of maybe not doing their own AI development. They're getting a little bit of help from their pals in mega cap land, Google, whereas Tesla has those price increases. And I think it'll be really interesting to see what earnings call we get. Elon for Tesla, Elon Musk will always give you an exciting, eventful conference call. So I think it'll be really cool to see what he gives us for this April 17th, 2024 earnings call. I'm very excited to hear. Hopefully we'll be tickled pink or pleased as punch or what have you. There will certainly be some movement in the stock. However, I am pleased as punch with this AMD trade, and I'd like to talk about it. So this 191 bounce I really like because I have a thing where like sometimes if a trade doesn't work in one direction, maybe it'll work in the other. And I'm not saying 100% I want more confluence, obviously, but these are always areas I'm going to be aware of, right? 191, we tried this short because there was a little bit of chop and churn there earlier. It failed. We got it at 191.40. All good. Move. Where's the next trade? Then I see we come back into 191, and I've noticed AMD has had a really nice time hip-hopping and bouncing around some of these key levels. When I say key levels, I mean whole dollars areas. 190, there was a nice little bounce in AMD as well that I probably should have been more rangy with, but that's okay. Then we got involved at 191 again. Here we are. Saw this, we failed the VWAP a little bit, and then I got a little bit nervous, but then we came back. I said, as long as we stay above that 190.50 area where we had some chop and churn, I'm okay. We don't even get to 190.80. We keep going, and I said, we got this. Took up some of this around this 191.40 area, which is where I had to cut the short. To cut it short, I don't know. But yeah, so we got out part of it there. I was saving a piece for the dream for that earlier peak, that Acme around 191.80. So we got the rest out around 191.78. Pleased as punch with this trade. Honestly, like I know Neil and Sean have talked about this a bit, like using NVIDIA sometimes as your futures for some of these chip names. I think obviously the charts look a little bit different, but AMD, that bounce happened around when we had that baby bounce, just above that 180 area for NVIDIA. So that was a little bit helping me there as well, beyond the fact that we had those levels in AMD. My micro ranges still a little bit down on the day across the board for these trades, but overall pretty proud of myself, just trying to keep going with this AMD and NVIDIA. I do not give up, and I am excited to see what else the market's going to give me to trade.
Sounds good.
I see you entered the time track.
I did. I got long, small size here on the curl up, looking for that 174 take, and then maybe that HOD touch. So very small size here. I don't want to get blown out. I'm not going to take any beak wetters here. We're going to let this one run through 174. That's the idea. But as I look at my scanner, geez Louise, Go EV keeps pumping to the high side here. It is, look, it's not moving dollars at a time here, but for quite, I don't want to call it a stable name, because look what it did over here. I mean, 388, and then we tanked all the way down to 290. So I'm not going to say that. But since that big boy Huadunk, within 2 5-minute candles, we've kind of calmed down a little bit in the way that we're trading. And in addition to the fact that we've calmed down, we're putting in observably higher highs and higher lows. We have a bit of a top here for whatever reason at 343, but this feels like it's a temporary top in anticipation of a 350 break. Now, how do you get in on this one? Well, you got a couple of opportunities. One, it's been magnetic. It has that magnetic effect either to the 10 period and, the outlying to the 20 period. So what I mean by that is, for the most part, it's holding up on a closing basis above the 10 EMA, which is the green solid line on my chart. But at times, it is making its way down into the 20 period. And okay, so I have to look at TSLA here, because it's breaking down below the 50 penny range. So I have to look at where my entry or my exit on this one is going to be. Yeah, I can leave it for now. So going back to Go EV over here, it's been really kind of sticking to either the 10 period or the 20 period. Now you can see wicks make it down into the 20 period, but the majority of the closing prints are all above that 10 period. So maybe you can, put a dip trade for half your entry at the 10 period, and another half move it up with the 20 period as the 20 period and the 10 period move up incrementally. But this one looks awfully good. It's 71.6% up on the day. It is well off the highs. I mean, we have that move into 388 possibly as an area that we can target as a profit target, or even $4 if we really get going here. So keeping my eye on Go EV. I think this one is stabled out a little bit. It was a lot more volatile early, owing to that big move up on the open and that big retracement subsequent to that around 955. But since that time, it's kind of chilled out a little bit. So be looking for a possible dip trade here on Go EV. It's going to be for smaller size, so we can manage risk a little bit better. Looks like Tesla, a good thing I didn't get out of that one, even though the future is on the way down. The future is tanking. Tesla at the moment, not tanking with the future, but definitely not ascending either. So looks as if, some of this negativity on the future is definitely having its effect on Tesla at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Go EV and also Go, the other EV, Tesla there.
I like
NVIDIA, I have to say I'm a little bit disheartened by my inability to get NVIDIA around the 8245, a really specific number. But I was looking at these, this kind of little bit of consolidation there earlier. I said, if we reject that, we punch in. I had it all typed out. We rejected it. I go punch in. And then before I can get filled, we drop a couple dollars. So we did miss out. I've mentioned this before. I think one of my biggest issues is my entry points. I either get in too early or I get in too late. The timing is less than ideal. That's something I'm working on.
Rivian, guys. Rivian popped up on volume, up 3%. Here's the headline. Rivian vehicles are now compatible with the supercharger network. That obviously means Tesla's supercharger network. Ford, I don't remember exactly who, Honda, some others, I think, are a Volkswagen, yeah, you would know, are now compatible with Tesla's EV charging network, but now Rivian being added to that mix. So make of that what you will, getting a nice bounce up there off $11.10 through $11.50. Let's see if we get continuity, but we'll look at that when we get back, because the Neil is now ready to drop hot lines on Neil's lesson of the day.
Welcome to the lesson of the day. When everyone looks right, maybe you want to go left. When the market zigs, sometimes you might want to zag. Now, usually we'll always say the trend is your friend, and I'm not necessarily going to talk you into fighting a trend. However, if there is a big enough expectation on an event that a certain stock is going to move in a certain direction, and almost everybody is thinking exactly the same way, the thoughts are aligned, the anticipation is all going in the same direction, you can maybe profit from something that shocks those expectations or subverts those expectations. So we have a couple examples I want to use, not just in real time, but also in a follow-up, where if everyone's looking left, you're going to want to go right, and it doesn't mean you have to be out in front of it. You can just be looking out for those signs for what can be a big opportunity. So first things first, you have to have everybody looking at a certain stock. You have to have everybody looking at a certain event. So in this particular case, I want to talk about SMCI being added to the S&P 500. Now, when Uber was added to the S&P 500, the stock famously rallied into it. There was a sell the news event after the fact. It caught a bid a couple of weeks later and then rallied. But it was pretty clean. Like, it went up going into the event at about 350 when the imbalances come out. You know, it wasn't a huge event, but it certainly didn't tank. That's for sure. Now, SMCI, clearly there was some buying going into it. You can see, like, when it was in late February, it was trading down already $100. It had made recent highs in the last couple of weeks, so it was pretty strong going into the addition, but had pulled back a couple of days. Now, the trade that a lot of people look for at the close of something like this would be, okay, well, if there has to be 5 or 6 million shares bought at the close, you just look for a buy imbalance and the stock will shoot up. And people that might have gotten out in front of that would have gotten burned. Now, if you're expecting that a stock near the close is going to have a buy event, then as it starts dropping, I mean, it was strong pretty much all afternoon. As it starts dropping, there's going to be traders that say, oh, wow, if it's supposed to run into the close, now I'm getting it off of a support level. Now you're talking yourself into other trades. If it's supposed to be a buy, I can be long this at 11 into this 1095 or off of this pre-market low. Those are fantastic entries. That's what the people glued to this stock has to go up can be thinking. Now, if you're a person who is, well, I'll just wait till it actually materializes or comes out, and then I can make my decision after that. Why do I have to get out in front of it? In the back of your mind, you should be telling yourself, hey, there's got to be some longs in here. And this is a key thing. If you're going to look for the shock trade, there need to be people trapped in the other direction. It's not enough that it comes out as a sell imbalance at 350. There has to be a reason that you think people have jumped the gun to really make it worth it going against the grain. Now, in this case, it was a dip into that support and a little bit of a bounce that I think gives you that impetus. So you can see it start bouncing off support. That is a trap long in front of the imbalances. Now, when it comes out at 350, it absolutely tanks. Unless you're an algo, you're not capturing that first breakdown, but when it takes out the low of the day, it just doesn't stop. So you have yourself a reason to be looking for the reversal, an area that you can get in on a breakdown, and it's a sell imbalance, and it's supposed to be a buy. So instead of just gluing yourself to the long, either getting burned or potentially just doing absolutely nothing, which is perfectly fine in that situation, you can be looking for the other direction, knowing that there are some trapped longs here that are gonna want to stop out and get out of Dodge when it breaks that low of the day. And the best part about this is it even gives you an opportunity today. Now, if you go back to what is the tried and true normal way that these news events are traded, it's the buy the rumor, sell the news, right? So you would suspect that after a stock gets a run up going into an addition into the S&P 500, that you would be looking for a sell the news event on the Monday. If it goes in and it's effective Monday morning, so you get the close price, then you'd expect there could be a sell the news event. Now, you probably know what I'm going to get at here is if you are looking for the sell the news and the stock gaps up, you still need a reason to be looking in the other direction. Now, if you're thinking sell the news, you don't have much of anything to do when the stock is absolutely ripping faces off, going to the upside. But remember This is a stock. This is a AI market. This is a setup that a lot of bulls are going to be in love with. A little bit of a wipeout trap bottom. It's in the S&P 500 now. It's taking out Friday's high. This is a gold breakout long on a short squeeze name. However, subverting expectations, if you're still thinking a bit of a step ahead, and again, you don't have to be counter trend, but if you want to be, you want to look for where are people actually trapped. And on a breakout here, you're not necessarily catching people until it breaks out that high. So you're patient, patient, patient. It breaks out that top. And there isn't a heck of a lot in terms of green candles when it gets back underneath that top. So if I come back over this high, that's about 10:30, so 11:30. When it gets to 11:30, there is a minor bounce and then a breakdown. Now, congratulations to you if you're catching that trade in there. I'm not even going to talk about that trade. If you're in there at 11:25 when other things were still ripping, that's a great one. However, when this simply breaks 1100 support, that's something that you can get yourself behind. Because then you've got people taking the breakout here, you've got people that did not cover when it didn't buy on the S&P 500 inclusion, and you've got people trapped in the breakout and the dip buy. You've got all kinds of longs that are looking for the exit when 1100 can't hold. And if you look for the shorts underneath that, it's a clear trend back into the downside. The key thing is if you're gonna go left or look left when the market's going right, if you're gonna zig when the market's zagging, is you have to wait for enough people piling into the other direction. You've got to see it first. If there isn't a reason people have gotten trapped or other traders have gotten trapped, then it's not gonna be as lucrative for you to go in the other direction and look for that setup. Because then you're going to wait for an opportunity that doesn't have as much volatility into it. But if you get multiple legs going in the other direction, then looking for that reversion trade can make sense. But a few things have to happen. One, has to be a reason everyone has their eyeballs on it. Two, you've got to get people trapped in some obvious setups in that direction. And three, you've got to find yourself an actual setup with risk to reward for you to get in. Like the bottom break I mentioned, like shorting off of that the 350 level at 350 at the time for the imbalances when they come out. You've got to have a reason to be able to get out because you are in some ways going against the grain here. But if you can line those up, you've got another trade you can add to your toolbox, and the next time there's a big event, you're ready to zig when everybody else zags. That's your lesson of the day.
Zigzag. Yeah. Thank you very much, Neil. Eloquent and informative as always. Neil dropping hotlines every day at 12 o'clock. In case you join us, make sure to catch Neil's lesson of the day every day at noon hour. As we were talking there, Dara, the Fuge did make, or as Neil was dropping hotlines, the Fuge got back above 18.3, so momentarily dipped into that 18.2 3/4 territory, but right back above again. And I see some triangles there on the NVIDIA trade, so take us through it.
They're not good triangles.
Oh, my bad.
It's okay, it's okay. I mean, honestly, I think the thing is, as Neil was saying that lesson, I was really feeling what he was saying, like, don't have a trade unless you have a great setup. This is just, honestly, I'm still in this because we haven't broken above the 887, but it's like, girl, why? And I'll explain why I'm saying girl, why. So I got involved, 884. I watched this rejection a couple times. In retrospect, this could have been a skosh of bitterness on my part because we didn't get that earlier 883.50. I'm not going to lie. But then again, I did like the 884 failure. I watched it fail a couple times. I said, you know, you got this. I was going to give it a couple dollars because I was trying to take a couple dollars in the downside. I still am. And I said, we'll give it to 887. I also added at 886 when I saw that failure a couple times. We still have not gotten above 887, but now it looks like we're forming this 90 MA as support. Honestly, the better trade probably would have been short at 887 to 885-esque. And that's why I really just feel what Neil had to say there with regards to just waiting till you have a perfect setup and you have your plan. So thank you so much to Neil for that lesson of the day. One I'm learning from, and yeah, this trade has just had me, you know, I wish the triangles were better. I'm going to be honest, but they exist and we're going to own up to them because that's what we do here at Out of Trade. We also slide out of our NVIDIA trade ASAP Rocky because this is going kind of rough, but that's okay. You know, literally the only place I can go from this trade is up because wowie, move to the downside. Also, thank you so much to Guilty Gunner. Sorry for the looking at this a little bit later here, but thank you for that super chat. Tilray, fair value 40. Won't see it again under $2. Yeah, let's look at TLRY. Let's take a look at this. Okay, up 15% on that potential, all the whisperings of the cannabis regulation there. I know Sharif was mentioning that Kamala Harris speech. I also saw some traders circulating on Twitter that this one hedge fund manager, Doug Cass, was like, oh yeah, like I've heard from sources that the DEA will be rescheduling soon. So not news, just some circulation of information. But yeah, Tilray, nice look. Let's look at the daily of this one to kind of get a look. Yeah, I mean, honestly, this move up here today is really beautiful. I think breaking above this earlier area where we had a little bit of peaks and valleys around that 210 would be nice. Then we kind of get into that pseudo double bottom here, and then a little bit of where we had that top around 230. I think that's where things start getting really interesting. But yeah, I see what you mean. There could be continued movement. Right now that we still have lower highs and lower lows, so we kind of need to break out of that pattern. Also, this flat bottom around 160 could be a bit concerning. But yeah, nice look. And I think this catalyst could certainly be helpful for T to the L to the R to the Y. But now it is time. We had Neil's lesson today. Now we have our lesson. Also, your Apple trade.
Yeah. Or just it's basing out at, okay, so I'll talk about the Apple trade and my ideas behind it before we get into the lesson. So this was obviously a top that we identified there in the pre, that 175 and general area. It looks like we put in some bottoming tail candles on it right now. These doji candles show some indecision. So if we can bounce up off this level, we'll definitely be looking to take profit there, but I've got a tight line in the sand, so it'll have to hold this level. What's up, Katina, man? What's going on now?
We reloaded. You get one guess.
I'm going to say, hold on. Give me a second, Katina. Triple eights on NVDA short.
I literally got short 88.
The Katina man trades, baby. $5 in the money on NVDA. It's a print factory on that side of the desk, baby. Shout out to the Katina man. He literally just put it on. So it's just, bang trade. Bangs trade. Shout out to him. What's going on over there? Let's talk a little bit about this, the basics of a pullback trade. Today, that is the lesson of the day, Ram, as we get that bad boy ready. In case you're wondering what's going on with these pullbacks and the basics, essentially, it's a fundamental strategy in day trading. Essentially, what it tries to do is capitalize on dips within an uptrend or rises within a downtrend within the larger trend to kind of profit off that. It offers you potential entry points at a discount or a premium, depending on whether you're going long or short, compared with the main direction. Let's break it down and talk a little bit about this type of trade. So understanding the trend, that's the first thing you have to do here. We have to identify the larger trend on the instrument we're looking at. So the foundation of the strategy is a strong trend. So you're looking for charts that go up and to the right or down and to the right that are very obvious in their direction, okay? And then you're looking for a chart with also consistently higher highs and higher lows for the long, or lower highs and lower lows for the short. This establishes the overall price direction that you want to look for. So that's the first thing. We're looking for a trend, whether to the upside or the downside, it doesn't matter. You're looking for a decisive, ideally strong trend. Okay? And then once you get the trend, you're going to start looking for a pullback area, right? So now you're watching for price retracement against the overall trend. So if it's up and to the right, you're looking for a momentary dip. Now that could be several days, it could be several hours. It really depends on what time frame you're trading on. So you're watching for price retracement against the trend. So imagine, just to put this in a visual format, imagine you're basically you're a runner, you're taking a quick breather during a marathon. That's the pullback, all right? It's a temporary dip in an uptrend or a rise in a downtrend that creates a potential buying opportunity for the longs or a shorting opportunity for the shorts. An example of a pullback in uptrends and downtrends is shown up here. So this is what we're looking at here. So this is obviously an uptrend, and as you can see with the down and to the right black upper trend lines, that is your pullback area where you can get in. And so, multiple different ways to weasel your way into these trades. We'll talk about that in the upcoming days, but this is kind of the chart you're looking for a long, and this is the kind of chart you're looking for a short. It's valid both ways, okay? So entering the trade, let's talk a little bit about how to enter the trade. So if you're going long in an uptrend, you see a pullback in an uptrend, this might be a good time to buy or go long. It's like buying a discounted ticket on a roller coaster ride before it keeps on climbing, right? Same thing with the short. You're going short, which is in the downtrend. It might be a good chance to sell short at that level. Think of borrowing a stock like renting to sell it at a high during the pullback, hoping to buy it back later at a lower price and return it for a profit. That's just essentially the mechanics of how to get long or short. That's not really the point here. So the confirmation signals are super important though. They're not essential, but some traders look for confirmatory signals like that help boost your confidence on that pullback level. So the first thing you can look for is certain candlestick patterns, right? Are you looking for, a hammer candle to show that there was a lot of bullishness to buy up that particular level? Or you could be looking for things like an engulfing bullish candle, right? Michael Noss talks a lot about that. So we'll show you what those look like in a second, but you're looking for confirmation. One of the ways that confirmation can come is in the form of a candlestick pattern. But there are also technical indicators that you can use too, like RSI and stochastics. Those help you determine overbought and oversold territories. So on a pullback, you could be looking for the RSI to dip into oversold territory. We're going to talk more this week about price action, indicator divergence, and how to spot good pullback areas. But for today, we're just talking about the basics, but keep that in mind because we're going to be talking about it later this week, the divergence between the indicator and the price action. And here's a great example here of a candlestick pullback with weak volume. And this is what we're looking at over here. So what you see is the green days, the volume on the green days is a lot lower than the volume on the red days. And so that shows you that the pops back up, the retracements to the high side on much less volume than the downtrend was. So that should give you an indication that, it's not really a reversal of the trend, it's just more of a pullback because the volume to the downside is still a lot stronger than any volume to the upside. Thank you for throwing that in, Derek, because that absolutely makes sense. And here is another a very good example of where you can look to the indicator to give you areas to enter. So we've been, on this particular chart, we were trending well below the 50-period moving average, and every pop into the 50 was eventually sold off. So that could be your line in the sand for where to get short, for example. So that is another very good one. Exiting the trade, very important as well. Guys, don't hold on to the trade forever. It's a day trade. It's a trade. It's not an investment, right? So don't get married to the trade. Aim to exit when the price decisively breaks above that resistance levels in the case of an uptrend and a long, or below support in the downtrend for a short. These are price levels where the trend has historically faced difficulty continuing. And so why stand in the face of that? Take your profits and get out of Dodge. And there's also a very good, very important explanation, I think, that we need to make between what is a regular pullback and what is an outright reversal. Sometimes you can't tell the difference, right, when you're looking at it initially. It's only after we start trending up that you're like, oh, okay, so that was a pullback. That wasn't a reversal. So some of the things you can do in order to avoid a potential getting into a trend reversal is be cautious when entering a pullback trade while the asset is approaching a major support or resistance area. Maybe wait for it to bounce off that area before punching long or punching short. Look out for any bearish signals if you're trying to enter in an uptrend, or bullish signals if you're looking to enter in a downtrend. That might indicate the impending entry of a reversal, or a reversal is on the horizon. So keep that in mind. And remember, guys, always use stop loss orders. This is a simplified explanation. Obviously, this is just basics into a pullback. And, the pullback trade is a versatile tool, but, there are a lot more advanced variations of which we'll be talking about this week. So keep your eye on any reversals and try to figure out how your trading strategy best works with that, Adair.
Yeah, I will say, too, the reason I included that difference between a pullback and a reversal, because that was something I really struggled with when I would start trading. Like, I'd think, oh, this thing is, there's a little dip. It's going to keep going higher. And it's like, well, Adira, was it preceded by a topping tail candle? Because that could be a sign that it actually might be a reversal, right? So it's kind of both knowing the confirmatory signs for your dip buy, but you also want to know some signs that could actually imply that a reversal is waiting and on the horizon. So I think knowing both of those is really key. Also, NVIDIA continues to be interesting. Yes, I am still involved in this little tango. We took the long here for about $1 off of that 885, 886 area. Basically with NVIDIA, me getting involved now, like I said, I thought that range around 887 to 884 was spicier than the range I was trying to play, which is weirdly shorting 884, which is kind of the bottom of this movement. Anyway, that trade's in the past. All we have now is the future. And this future is I'm waiting for these 888 rejections. I did get involved initially, that 886 area. So again, not a great point of entry, but we were having some failures here. I don't love this decisive break above 888. So if this continues, I'm going to have to get out post haste. My plans here, because I am noticing that we're seeing a little bit of a move up in this range, I'm trying to get out of that at the 885.50 area, saving a piece for just below 885s. That's the look. I like that we rejected 888 here. I think probably I should maybe switch to NVDL. That might be a better look than whatever I'm trying to do with the big boy NVDA. But shout out to Sean, killing it on this trade. I see some people in the chat mentioning this one as well. Someone saying Marissa's going to get her Rivian, because I know Marissa was expressing some interest in that Rivian. Yeah, so congrats there on NVDA. Shout out to Sean on that. Yeah, we're gonna have to see. It looks like we're part filled in some of this. We might be entirely out. I think the risk management here, though, was a little bit dancing with danger, which is not a dance you want to do. You know what I mean? Especially not with NVDA. I mean, the DA could stand for danger, for all we know. So I really should have been a little bit more intelligent about that. I'm going to be really, really honest. I can't be. We got out of this unscathed, but I can't really be that proud of it because I don't think my plan here is really good. So we might have to go into NVIDIA withdrawal for the time being. This was just not my bag. I am happy with how I managed the rest of that trade out, but this guy is getting dicier, or if I get involved, trying to start play this long range off that 9 EMA because it looks like things could be taken a skosh of a curl. Kyle Burdett saying NVIDIA short at 888. Shout out to you. I do think that's the level instead of the level I tried to play, that 888 area, or it would have had to be a lot scalpier. Also, some mentions of Tesla here by Chef Joe, so let's see what's cooking in Tesla up in here. Okay, this is interesting. Yeah, curling down a little bit here. But yeah, I mean, we're still up. I can't believe we're up 5.5% in the day. I'm sure Elon is elong right now.
Oh, yeah.
He's pleased as punch. Because what a move up. I mean, Tesla needed a positive catalyst, so this is a nice move. Especially ahead of those earnings, as you mentioned.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. But one thing that is not up at the moment is the futures. Right back down below 18.3 we go again. So yeah, making that big move up into 18.381, a little bit above 18.3, a little bit below. It's awfully consolidated. I hope nobody took a long or short break on this trade, because it looks like you would have got cut up if you went either way at this point, unless you're scalping it like I did earlier on that 18.3 dip and rip. So we'll see exactly what kind of direction we get on the future. Right now, right back into 18.3 again. So absolutely candles of indecision, plenty on the NQ today. We'll have to wait and see which way this wants to resolve. But I put my dip trade on Go EV, completely separate from whatever we're doing on the future. The volume weighted average price at 310, and it hasn't moved all that much. I've got a dip trade set up at 311. So this one made its way down into 317 at the lowest, right back now into that $0.75. But it did break actually the 20 period moving average on a closing basis for the first time, essentially since the bell. So we had not actually closed below the 20 period moving average, since 9:30 this morning, since the bell rung. And that was the first candle that we actually closed below the 20 period, which is the yellow line, the yellow solid line on my chart. So keeping an eye to see what we get here. Obviously getting long 311, my line in the sand will be that $3 break. So we'll have to hold above the $3 area. Now, if it makes sense for me to do so, if I like what I see, I may DCA from that 311 entry into 3 defend, but it may not even make its way down there for now. So we'll have to wait and see exactly what we get. Now, one thing we talked about essentially, one thing we talked about earlier is to look at the moving averages for indication as to price action consolidation. When the price is moving nicely and we're trending, we have momentum in a certain direction, the space between the moving averages opens up. But when the space gets super tight, that's when you can tell price action consolidation is starting to take place. And that's what I'm seeing here on GoEV. Like, look at that big move up initially. We had the largest space between the moving averages. Now, as we kind of incrementally make our way up and now possibly even break down below the 20 period, you can see that space between the 20 and the 10 really get to its tightest point on the day. So right now, may not be a great entry into this name as price action is really consolidating, and we could get a break to the downside, right? If the 10 period is to cross the 20 period to the downside, that could be an indicator for some mechanical following trading systems there. So we shall see. But Aurora Cannabis just broke through that 390, 391 flat top that I have been putting in essentially since 11:45. So the better part of 45 minutes, we had had this consolidation top, but we had been putting in higher lows on the candle. So I guess it foreshadowed that we would get a break. But the reason I'm telling you all this is because like now we're 6 pennies away from that $4 level. And when's the last time we were up at $4 on ACB? Let's look over here and find out. The last time we were at this level takes us all the way back to February 15th. So about a month or so, yeah, exactly a month, no, a month and a couple of days from that level. Last time we were up here was around $4.10. So that's a great look there. What's up, Katina, man? What's going on now? Say it again. NVIDIA is going again, guys, on the way down again, 882 again. Another short for the Katina man on there. 888s. He's still short off 888s. So it's a refresh and reload. And he's getting it back at 888s. Again, $7 in the money now on NVDA. Shout out to the Katina man. But to build on my ACB analysis here, Ram, is that this $4.10 area was the last time we were up here. We did reject $4. So I definitely want to see what we do on Aurora Cannabis at $4. We may not have to wait that much longer as it's only 6 pennies away now, getting a bit of a rejection there, coming back down to 385. I feel like you want to say something.
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'll keep going then.
No, yeah, you're
so that's what I'm looking there for on Aurora Cannabis. It looks like GoEV might be coming into my level now as it's breaking down below 320. We'll see if we get a 311 entry on GoEV, that is. Let's look at some mega cappers here. Let's see exactly what we're doing. Yeah, we're down below 18.3 again, so nothing for me at these levels. NVIDIA, though, is kind of a rinse and repeat. It's ranging. The funny thing is, though, it's ranging with like $10. Yeah, I mean, that's NVIDIA, right? It's a $900 name. It's going to range $10, right? Look at this big move down. It's doing the hockey stick pattern. Down and then consolidating right? So a big move down on NVDA. Now we've got a bit of an 890 high with an 880 low. Exactly the low on the day is this candle over here that we made right at noon, right off 878, which is the closing print. So that level continues to be an area of support. Not surprised there. Always chart closing prints, guys. It doesn't take that long to do, right? So just to be aware of that level.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think certainly I concur with NVIDIA. I've been trying to change this rate. I keep getting chopped up. I think I need to be a lot more patient. I think we might need to sit on the hands, metaphorically speaking, because this has just not been my day with NVIDIA. I am, though, honestly, I'm not going to be too hard on myself about this. We're trying these ranges. The issue was I did try to go long here at 884 because we actually did hold up, like, for about $1. Then we fell with the viciousness. We got below 882. I had to get out NVIDIA. ASAP Rocky. So let's see what happened here. Let's kind of keep looking for other opportunities because I think we need to take a little bit of a break from NVIDIA. We need to step out. We need to calm our heads. Chill out. That's all good. Let's look at Tesla. Tesla is definitely in a bit of a downward move here, down to the downside. So I think there's probably some opportunities to be had there. Google also, I think it was Frank Boso in the chat telling me Google's an interesting short. I would concur. I know Sean was in the dollar club with this one earlier today, partying it up with GOOGL. But now GOOG taking a bit of an L to the downside here. Still up, as Sharif might put it, a paltry 5.5%. So nothing too weak here coming from Google. But yeah, I think I want to see what we do at that 148.50 area, because that was where we had a little bit of chop and churn here over. So let's kind of see what's happening. I think there's some kind of opportunities here on Google, but honestly, yeah, it's been a bit of a weaker day for me. Not positive in any of my names, but that means the only way I can go is up. So there we go. We're going to continue to stay positive. Let's see if there's any kind of ranges I'm really looking for here as well. But I think certainly both Google and to a lesser extent Tesla giving you opportunities to look at that lesson, to learn from that lesson of the day of basically looking at these, as you were saying, which I really appreciate, looking at these indicators and seeing what they're giving you with regards to trends and pullbacks.
Right.
This 9 EMA giving you a bit of a skosh of a short opportunity on Tesla. It's not perfect, but there is certainly a little bit of confluence there with these moves down and how the 9 EMA moves. Shout out, of course, to Obi.
Where is he? He's not here today. That's okay.
Good times.
Very good question here from Fiddleback. Can you talk about what the change to T+1 will have on the markets on May 28th? First of all, I didn't know that we were going to T+1 on May 28th. But again, I'm just speaking off the cuff here. I don't know exactly the changes. But to me, if you have a cash account and you don't have a margin account and you trade, you usually have to wait T+2 in order for that money that you invested on the trade to be available to you again, unless, again, you had a margin account. So I'm assuming with the lower turnover time to get your cash back for the cash accounts, you're going to be able to trade again. So we could see more market participation from retail, I guess. I don't know. I'm just speaking off the cuff. No really other information to kind of support my thesis, but I really haven't done any. Just looking at what the question you had. That's very interesting, though. I didn't actually know they were doing that. Long go EV at 12s. I'm looking for a VWAP hold here, Ram, at these levels because, well, we retraced into that 312 area. We're printing 311s right now. We're going to look for this area to hold, but my line in the sand has to be that $3 area. If we don't hold $3, that's where I'm going to draw the line. Now, we have some bearish indicators pointing down here. Now we have we have the 10 and the 20 moving averages coming awfully close to each other as they're tightening up here, and they're both, they're both actually pointing down now. And so obviously that is one of the other things that you can look at for direction is which way the moving averages are pointing down. So let's see if we get that general hold at the volume weighted average price. Is the entry that I was waiting for. It's the entry that I want. But my line in the sand is going to be $3 on GoEV here. Awfully strong name on the day, 60 some odd %. In case you're wondering what's going on with GoEV, here is what it is. Canoe shares are trading higher after the U.S. Department of Commerce has approved its Oklahoma City facility as a foreign trade zone. So good look there. Not exactly sure what that means, but that's not really the point. You'll hear Michael Noss talk a lot about this. He doesn't care about the headline. He just wants to know that the technicals are in place. And, well, GoEV, definitely. The technicals are in place on the day. So that's a look there. We'll keep eyes on GoEV.
Nice. Also, so yeah, I actually looked up what it means when I was doing the small caps. And so it's like basically there's something with a smaller amount of fees, I guess, or customs fees for their international customers. That's kind of what that means there with regards to the GoEV foreign trade zone. And it kind of helps them apparently, although this is, again, according to a press release, so obviously a little bit self-serving there. They're basically saying that it helps with their Made in America ethos. So nice look there for GoEV. I am short the SPY right now. I spied lower highs and lower lows. I spied a rejection on the 9 EMA, and I spied an exit point here at 513.94. As long as we kind of stay below this 514.20, we'll give it about 10 pennies. I'm pleased as punch to stay in this trade. We are absolutely getting out the entirety of this at 513.94. So we're going to have to wait and see what cooks up here in the SPY. Hopefully we continue to spy this move to the downside, because like I said, a little bit of a rough trading day for me so far, but that means really the only way it can go is up. Because, we got to stay optimistic up in here at how to trade. I think one of the biggest parts of trading that I didn't really realize would be as intensive as it is, and I say that as someone who is still in the sim, is the emotional part, right? Like, even though I obviously, it's not real money, I am in the sim, it is paper trading, I'm really trying to make sure that I treat it like a serious trade. And that's why I'm a little bit upset as well with NVIDIA, because I don't think I managed my emotions or the trade as well as I should have. I'm going to be really upfront about that. I think I was probably letting it run a little too wild. But you know what? honestly, I am going to learn from that. We're going to give that name a little bit of time in the penalty box, a little bit of time out, or I guess I'm putting myself in the penalty box because I don't love what I did with that. And if there are opportunities I see that I like later, sure, maybe small position, but I think right now that name when I need to take a little bit of a break, we're gonna not be on speaking terms. I'm not gonna like completely block NVIDIA from my life, but I think we're just gonna give her a little bit of space so I can take my space and breathe. We're gonna try this SPY short for now. We are holding up really well under this level, so I think this is pretty cool. Thank you so much, Yoel, Reina in the chat, much appreciated. And I appreciate everybody always being really honest in the chat and on the floor here with their trading journeys, because it's a very different kind of discipline and profession, and it's something I'm learning a little bit about every single day. So I always appreciate everybody's support and honesty in this wonderful community that we have here at Real Trading and at Trader TV Live. But yeah, I think that certainly interesting look there on the SPY, and hopefully what we continue to SPY continues to be things that we like. Let's see what's shaking here in Tesla in the Cybertruck, because it looks like we still have lower highs and lower lows, mind you, but it looks like we're trying to pop back above, peek our heads up above that 173.60 level. I'm gonna have to watch what happens here, because could Tesla, we talk about the difference between reversals and continuations of the trends. Now, what's Tesla suggesting? I would like to wait and see, but I think we could see a bit of a bounce off this 9 EMA, because that would be a sign of potentially a reversal instead of a continuation of this pullback. So let's see what happens here. How is it going in GoEV?
Break even at the moment. It's at 312, holding the volume weighted average price. I guess that's the most important thing. Need to keep eyes on VWAP, because that's the trade for me on GoEV. If it goes the other way, then we're gonna have to draw a line in the sand. My line in the sand is that whole dollar level at 3. But that's not the only one moving, man. ACB continues to move. 395, kept talking about that whole dollar level at 4. It definitely had trouble breaking initially through 390, 391, or thereabouts. I mean, the strict level was 391, but the closing prints were all at 390. So you could tell there was probably a seller or somebody shorting at that 10 penny level for however long, I think over an hour, before we got decisive breaks and closes above that level. Now it's 395 that we're contending with on ACB. Again, overnight, good news coming in for possible here legalization. Right now, it's kind of incremental. Federal legalization is what I'm talking about. Right now, it's incremental. It's about reducing it from a Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 with the the Drug Enforcement Agency. So we'll see. We'll see. I think that could be a huge secular trend for weed if we get federal legalization. But with this being an election year, it could come to the forefront again. I know last time at around 2020, it came to the forefront, and that's why a lot of the weed stocks started running, because you had Kamala Harris in the debate with Mike Pence, talk about legalization that, created a lot of buying and selling the subsequent day. So we'll have to wait and see what we get here with this name. So good look, keeping an eye on some other names as well. Apple starting to curl back now above 175. So the price action on Apple not giving up quite yet. Here we go. On AAPL at this level. So last time we were talking about this 175 and a quarter, 175 general area being that area of support, owing to this crest that we put in the pre-market at just that exact level right there, 175. So Apple putting in now 3 green candles in a row if this one closes green. So we'll see if this one can retrace maybe back into that 176.50. That would be I don't even think that's an ambitious goal. That's the volume weighted average price. Ambitious is a new high day, I guess, maybe through 178. So AAPL looking good right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's certain. Yeah, nice look there for Apple, of course, with that AI adjacent catalyst that Google very much benefited from as well there. Yeah, SPY, a little bit upset at myself here for paper handing this one just a skosh. We did get to that area. I didn't punch fast enough. It curled back up, and I should have just gotten out the second we were into 90s, but I did not. Alas, now we're kind of getting to that 514.20, so I'm going to give this a couple of seconds here, and then I'm going to have to leave with a loss. This is a little bit upsetting, not going to lie, but I do appreciate everybody in the chat. Thank you so much for everyone's support here. As I learn, I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Amin. Thank you earlier as well, Yoel. I do appreciate everybody here as I learned, yeah, I am in the sim. Sharif is not in the sim, just me, just to clarify that as well, as I grow. And yeah, I also, Penguin Dynasty as well, you know, saying as, you know, sometimes you do have to trade in the sim as you learn. So much appreciated there. Yeah, we're going to have to see what happens here. I think there could be some more opportunities in the SPY, but I don't spy them right now. So we're going to stay out. What else? AMD is still getting interesting. I abandoned her. And she's like, Dara, what are you doing? Like, I'm still kind of rangy. So how dare I AMD? I think it was the Piper earlier making a really good AMD pun as well. Should I put all my dough in AMD? And I mean, I think certainly there's some dough to be had in AMD for sure. It is a little bit compressish, but if you play the ranges, I think there's some opportunities here. So that 191 area I still like. We have this nice bounce off VWAP now as well to play with. If we make a higher high off of that 192.60, that could be interesting. If we reject, you know I'm going to be hopping in there with it. I'm going to be taking it to VWAP. So I think AMD deserves a larger place in my heart. Right now, we're going to trade with the charts and not with our heart. Shout out to someone in the chat, I believe Odyssey Fights last week. We're not going to be trading with our heart, but we're going to be having our heart set on something here in AMD. Should it materialize? Because I think there are certainly some opportunities that I would love to take advantage of in this market. I spent way too much time looking at NVIDIA, and now we got to get out of that and into NVIDIA, into some new non-NVIDIA opportunities. Yeah, I mean, Tesla's still kind of bamboozling to me, to borrow a word that Sharif used. And as I was like telling Sharif off camera, that word was in the one of a crossword I did this morning. I'm not going to say which crossword in case people do crosswords. But yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. It was like manifesting some good vibes this week.
Why not? Let everyone know which crossword. What's wrong with that?
It was Washington Post. But yeah, nice look here in Tesla. I think it was Joanna Brewster saying Tesla's like weirdly strong today, and I don't know what to make of that. Fair point. We do still have lower highs, but like I said, if we get this 90 EMA bounce, this could be a little bit spicy, a little bit tasty, and I might want to bounce into the long with this one.
I like it.
How are you doing? 2 trades?
Good, yeah. Right now, looking for that continuation on AAPL, looking for that curl, really. Buying the smiley face or whatever sort of shape manifests with that curling pattern. We'll see if we get a move back up. I'm looking for essentially here on Apple, if we can get something in the 176.50, maybe 176.25 general area. That is about 75 pennies from where we are right now. We'll see if we can get that move up. I'm also looking for a defend of 3. So I did get my my defend at that $3 level on GoEV, but my stop is already in place on this one. So if it does break $3, that is the end of the trade there. On GoEV, we're long 309, so about 2 pennies out of the money at the moment on this. But Apple looks a little weak here, even though it started curling a little bit. I don't know. You know, we're below 18.3 on the future. I'm going to leave both these trades in. I don't want to paper hand them. See if we can get a move up here at least into that 176 area on Apple. But, you know, my line in the sand is going to have to be the break of this trough over here. And the break of the trough is hanging out at 175.10. So we're going to have to draw the line in the sand there on the Apple trade. If it doesn't hold above that 175, I said 179, 175.10, that's going to be the end of it for me there. So we'll see how that one does. Yes, Tesla also curling at these highs. So kind of a better look on Tesla right now than Apple, to be quite honest with you, not just because it's a lot closer to the highs, but you know, it's holding the 20 period, it's curling above key areas of resistance. Where on Apple, you know, you're kind of below that resistance level. You're kind of below that support level on VWAP. So looking at it with a bit more suspicion here, even though, you know, it was curling, but still below some of these levels. Try to pack our patience, try not to take out this trade too early. Nothing else for me to look at these points. I've talked about the ACB $4 incoming. I've talked about the defend of $3 on GoEV. Those are the trades that I have at the moment. So if you guys are looking at something specific, throw it in the chat, and Adara and I will be happy to look at it for you guys.
Indeed, we will. And speaking of which, Elon says, hi, Adara, hi. Perhaps ALB will outbeat AMD. Albemarle for 2 weeks on a sustained uptrend. If it breaks 128, 140 will be next stop. Let's take a look at ALB. Albemarle, I know that you were trading this one a couple weeks ago, I think, or you at least were looking. I remember we were looking at it a couple weeks ago anyway. ALB, ooh, nice look here. Volume on the day is is below, let's see if it's lower than Lily's volume. It is actually lower than Eli Lilly's volume on the day. So Eli Lilly, a permanent resident of my side chart, is at around 750,000 shares. Albemarle's around 670,000, so just slightly lower. But I know your question was specifically about the longer trend. So let's look at the daily chart on Mr. Albemarle. Yeah, I see what you mean. Like, certainly kind of a sustained uptrend. The thing that is a little bit interesting to me, though, is we do have some clear support around this. It's not perfect, but that 112, 110 area. I don't want to say flat bottom break, but I am also seeing slightly higher, lower highs with a bit of a flat bottom. So that's something to be cognizant of as well. I see what you mean, though. I think that break above 140 would be really key. A, it's a even dollar level. B, it would be a higher high, which I think Albemarle needs to tell us, no, I'm not in a downtrend anymore. No, sorry, Bob. Like, I think Albemarle, in order to definitively tell us, hey, this downtrend is over, it needs to push above that 140. So I do definitely agree with you there. Let's see what caused this big move down that we had on March 4th. Could this have been earnings? Let's do our due diligence here. Oh, it doesn't. Oh, it was an offering. So it was a $1.75 billion offering of depository shares. Took a move down on that. But yeah, I think breaking above that 140 would certainly be key for Albemarle. Not seeing any graphic, or I guess, so I'm not seeing any news on this one today, but there was, some ongoing lithium stuff as well. Some lithium market signals potential turnaround. So yeah, I think these lithium names as well have been strong. That LICY, the small capper that Sharif was talking about earlier today, that one is also a lithium name, Li-Cycle. So I do think there's some lithium strength. I think we'll have to see what Albemarle does here. Also some chats about Mara, M to the A to the R to the A. Let's see what. Oh, NVIDIA's breaking low of day though. So Mara's like, yeah, what about me? No, Mara, we gotta look at NVIDIA now. Whoo! Yeah, that's gonna be a cool $12 in the money. Is Sean, the Katina man, Killer Katina. Whatever moniker you would like to use, he is killing it now. Continuing to move to the downside here. Breaking below that 880. Nice look there on N to the V to the D to the A. How are you doing over here?
Not too bad. Holding on to this Apple trade. It's coming into that 175 area again. That's going to be my line in the sand on this one, 175.10 or thereabouts. So we'll be looking to take it out there if it breaks that low. But Apple right now giving me a bit of trouble. Now, Go EV still hanging above that $3 level. Not really breaking above or below it. The volume really dropping off on this one though, but it is holding up at that key level. So the trade that I need to worry about the most is this Apple trade at this level. So what I'll keep my eye on is 175.10 thereabouts. If it breaks that level, we'll be looking to get out. I'll have to put my stop because I don't have a stop on this one at the moment. It is on the way down. So I don't mind recycling this trade, to be quite honest with you, at 175 if it comes down and holds that level. I don't have a problem getting in and then getting out. So right now I'm going to have to take out this trade as it's on the way down to break 175.10 a day. So I'm going to send it to you while I put in my stops. Yeah, definitely.
Wow, yeah, this SPY move. Talk about mistakes on my part. I was trying to go to the 513.90s. We missed it by that much. Shout out to Get Smart. And then we just, we did not get smart because we didn't get out because it came bouncing back up. Bounced out of my area of entrance. I left. I should have kept my eye on this though, because look at this move down on the SPY. Yeah, I mean, I spy a bit of a learning opportunity here.
That's
Hopefully
nice.
I will learn from. Shout out to Kyle Burdett. $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Where's the Ted DiBiase song? Money, money, money entry song, baby. Spin it. It sounds like you were short on NVIDIA. There, Sean's going to spin it for you. There he is.
go.
Yeah, killing it there. This is awesome. Yeah, this is, what a look here. Yeah, this is certainly interesting on these markets. SPY, if we get back into 514, I'm going to have to go short. Because we have to learn from our mistakes that, it is how to trade. And I am learning how to trade in the sim every day. Again, I'm the only one in the sim because I saw some comments about that. It is just me as I learn. I would like to go live very soon because I had a pretty good week last week. And then today came and was like, hey, Adara, you learn every day. And I agree. And you know
like
what?
it.
That's all right.
All right. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So we got some things to look forward to here. Adara going live soon, baby.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Well, I'm sure you'll do well. So we'll wait for that, and then that'll be quite exciting. Now, keeping my eye on this level, nothing's changed as the future really helped push everything down here. I'm talking about the MNQ, or the NQ. I tried the MNQ, but the NQ on the way down, coming into that 50-point level where pivots are hanging out at the moment. So we'll see if we get any sort of support. Right now, it's kind of was danced with 18.3 and VWAP. VWAP and 18.3 still at the same level right now, but we're below that at the moment. Still up 1% on the day, but we're definitely giving back some intraday at this moment. So we'll see if we can get that retracement or that bounce trade off that level right now. Yeah, we got a nice little pop there off 50s, back into 60s we go. Let's flip back to GoEV and see what we're doing here. Doing absolutely nothing on GoEV. We're still above $3, but you know, we're putting in lower highs. And that's the thing. So even though we're getting a defend of 3, if it doesn't hold 3 to the exact T, that's going to be the end of the trade on this. I don't really have much else in small cap world, guys, to be honest with you. LICY doing bupkis. IMRX doing nothing as well. Hold on, here's a new one. No, this one's doing no volume. I was talking about BNAI. It's up 64%, but it's only done 372,000 shares on the day. Let's see what CGC's up to. CGC also up nice, 27% on the day. Just broke below 4 though, so probably just going to leave that one alone. All right, here we go with GoEV coming down below that $3 area again. So we're going to keep eyes on this one. We already have our stop in place on GoEV. So if it breaks 3, that's the end of the trade there. Looks like we got out of Apple again, as it did break down below our entry at 175.10. Yeah, the future really pushing everything lower here. Here comes that 18,250 yet again on the future. So it looks like we're gonna have a little bit of a mid-afternoon retracement on the day, whether it's on the future or some of these Mag 7 names. Keeping an eye on that. And oh, here it comes. I got stopped out of GoEV as well. So giving back some of the profits I had on the day. So now it's still green, but giving back some money.
Yeah, it's certainly, I am not green, but you know what I'm going to take that to mean is that literally the only way this could go is up. I know I'm not in any trades right now because I want to make sure I'm being cautious and patient. There's something I'm seeing on IWM, and I'm not sure what I'm seeing, but I want to keep an eye on this. Like I said, I've been really cognizant to be trading the actual price movement on these ETFs. So the SPY and the IWM are the main ETFs I trade. I try to trade the price movement on these more than the charts, right? But sometimes you can use the charts to look at areas where there might be some support and resistance. I am seeing lower highs and lower lows, but if we recover here at this 201.70, there could be a bit of an opportunity up into 202, which is certainly, if you look at the chart, an area where we had a little bit of spice, a little bit of action, a little bit of movement. Then that 203.30 double top, huge rejection. I think this is also something that could be kind of interesting, so let's see what's happening. Mostly what I'm seeing in the chat, though, is lots of excitement over NVIDIA, and I mean, who can blame them? NVIDIA has been the star of the show. She's like, did you forget about me? Hopefully you didn't, because what an interesting name there. Meta, though, also, too, looking like it might be coming into the downside. Chris J saying Meta finna quadrunk soon, so indeed, it looks like it could be heading for Quadunk City, Quadunk Mountain. I shouldn't say Quadunk. But yeah, this is, I mean, a bit of a topping tail candle here at that 894. Someone's been looking at NVIDIA too long. 494 on Meta. Curling down, we have a little bit of a double bottom here on the 3 on this 8. Sorry, I keep saying 8. 492.30 area. So that could be interesting, but honestly, Meta, I try not to range trade unless I have a ton of confluence and confidence in it, because Meta is so spready that just the stress of getting in and out can outweigh any potential trade. And right now we're at like 14 penny spread. I really will only trade Meta if A, I am absolutely in love with the setup, B, it's been ranging for a significant period of time, and C, the spread is a little tighter. But I don't have any of that right now, so probably gonna have to say no. That being said, I kind of see what you mean. There could be a quadunk here. I would probably, continue to see these lower lows, but we did definitely make a decisively lower high here from 494 to 493. Bit of a move down, I think. We could handle, we could head to Quadunk Nation. The one thing I would be very cognizant of, though, is look at these VWAP bounces earlier. VWAP could be a bit of a tricky area for Netta to knock on the door of and then continue to the downside. Just bore up way too many Sharifisms in one trade analysis, but that's what we do here.
My favorite was yours, the Quadunk Nation. I think we might need an animation for that. Well, we need a Quadunk animation before we get a Quadunk Nation animation. But yeah, there's a whole lot of rhyming there. Guys, 173 on Tesla keeps coming back in here. And so even though the Fuge absolutely tanking and giving up the ghost at 18.3, we're trying to get a bit of a bounce up here at 18.250. Tesla not selling off with nearly as much aggression as some of these others, other Mag 7 names selling off. You also have the likes of Amazon going possibly into negative territory here. So even though Tesla is still up 5 3/4, some of the other names not so lucky at the moment. So Amazon really it was a bit of a tighter range earlier on, 176.69 the high, and then we had essentially a 175 defend earlier. So it was less than $2 worth of range, but that's come and gone because now we're breaking down into that 174.40-ish area, which is where we closed out on Friday, right? And now we're about to go red on Amazon, and this was the level really that kind of set things in motion. It was the break of that 174, let's just say 80-ish for whatever reason. That was the IB low there. And then we touched that low again at 174, 90-ish, 80-ish or whatever. And then, before we gave up the ghost at that level incrementally though, looks like it's rejecting off the 10 period here. So maybe if you're looking to rinse and repeat this short on AMZN, maybe put that resting order right at the 10 period volume, the 10 period EMA. And so one thing that I like to do sometimes is to just set up your sell order at the level, and if you can, move it around. So, I mean, some programs allow you to do this, some programs don't. And the reason I say that is because these moving averages and the volume weighted average price, all these different indicators, they're dynamic, right? They're not in one area at one time. So if you put your short, like let's just say at the 20 period moving average, which right now is at 174.92, it's not going to be there in the next 5 minutes. So you're going to have to be able to move it down and be. Obviously, you can do it manually. You can keep readjusting the order. But if you're trying to base your trade off one of these technical indicators, it helps to be able to drag and drop. So see if your platform allows you to do something like that first and foremost. All right. Let's see what else is going on here. It looks like it's short city right now everywhere you look. It doesn't matter if it's NVIDIA with the Katina man. How much is he in? He is in about $18 in the money right now. Excuse me, 15. Well, I thought you were short 880. That's why I said that. 890. Sorry, Katina. He's 888. He's triple eights. I made a mistake. I thought it was 890. As we head down. Into that 872 area, Katina, man. I think you could be $18 real quick here because I think we probably see 870 owing to this ridiculous amount of red showing up on the NVIDIA chart on the day. In case you're wondering what's going on with NVIDIA today, no negative catalyst, but we do have the start of their GPU or whatever conference that's coming up. It starts 1 o'clock Pacific time, so it starts 4 o'clock here. It's widely anticipated the keynote is going to be given by Jensen Huang, so we'll have to wait and see exactly what kind of lines he drops there midday and what that does to some of the price action here. He's long Google. Katina Man is long Google 140. I happen to like that trade, actually. And I'll tell you why, Katina Man. I think you have sound technical levels there to support you. Look at this consolidation bottom that we put in the pre right there, baby, at that 148 level. NVIDIA's tanking. What happened? Yeah, so it did hit that 870. Well, almost. It's 870.85 now, the Katina Man printing on the NVDA. It looks like it's going to hit 870 within a matter of minutes here. 870.85 LOD on NVDA. But to go back to Google quickly, I like this 148 trade owing to this bottom area here consolidation that we had in the pre-market, which held 148 to the T. Google was pumping from 4 a.m. onwards because of that Apple headline. So it didn't really look back at this moment. So we're right there at the pre-market consolidation bottom, 148. I like that hold unless the future really starts tanking here. And it looks like it might be. It looks like we may see 18.2 today, it looks like, because we broke below the resistance level 1 on the pivots and we broke below that 50 period. So unless we put in a candle here to show maybe that we start retrending to the high side, I think we probably see lower on some of these Mag 7 names. So a lot of red showing up here midday, baby, and you wouldn't have been able to tell if that had been the case maybe a few hours ago because we were all in Greensville. So right now, the future looking to the downside. Mag 7 names are all to the downside as well, save and except for that one that remains near highs, Tesla.
Now I have a question. Are Greensville and Short City, are these part of Quadunk Nation?
Oh,
Geography
they
questions.
could be.
I guess Greensville couldn't be though, because green.
Well, I mean, you know, you that's not completely unheard of to have like cities with differing flavors next to each other. You know?
That's true. That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
I like that though. They could be part of Quadunk Nation for sure.
Why not? Why not? But yeah, also hopefully not being part of Quadunk Nation is my little IWM long. Basically, like I said, I've been trying to use with these ETFs a chart as kind of a way to guide my points of entry, but getting in on price action. We've been holding up this 201.65 level quite beautifully, if I do say so myself. So I've been trying to build a position around here. If we break decisively below this 201.60 into this 201.55 area where we had a little bit of shop and turn earlier, that's going to have to be a no for me. I'm going to have to get out of Dodge post haste. We will be fleeing Greensville or Quadunk Nation or what have you. We'll be running for cover. But yeah, I don't mind this position right now. If we get to 202, I'm scalping some out. If we get to 202.30, scalping some out. Just using previous levels to help guide my actions in the IWM long. But for now, we're going to have to be long learning because as you know, as is par for the course in how to trade, we do have a lesson du jour. And today's lesson du jour is the basics of a pullback trade. Also, here we are and how to trade on the bottom there. So yeah, so let's get into this lesson. The basic pullback trade is going to be really a fundamental strategy for day traders because it capitalizes on temporary dips in an uptrend or rises in a downtrend, and those will basically offer you some potential entry points at a discount or a premium, again, depending which direction, compared to the main direction. Let's break it down. Let's get into it here. Understanding the trend is really important because the foundation of the strategy is going to be a strong trend. You're going to be wanting to look for a chart with consistent higher highs and higher lows in an uptrend or lower highs and lower lows in a downtrend. And this will help establish the overall price direction. And from there, you can look and plot your points of entry, your plan of attack. Oh, there we go, I was behind there. Spotting the pullback, also really important. You're gonna be watching and waiting in this chart and looking for a price retracement against the trend. So imagine you're a runner, you're running a marathon, you gotta take a quick breath, like, you know, you're still in the race, mind you, you're just breathing. That's gonna be the pullback. You've not quit the race, you've not gone in a different course, you haven't quit the marathon entirely. You're just taking a quick moment to catch your breath before your run continues. This is like a temporary dip in an uptrend or a rise in a downtrend that will create potential buying long or selling if you're in a short opportunities there for you. So now we have got to take a look at some examples. Here are some pullbacks in an uptrend. This is a USD to Japanese yen chart, which also, fun fact, I do not know how recent this chart, oh, it looks like it's from 2015, but this is going to be actually really interesting coming up because people are saying that the Bank of Japan might actually raise rates. So that could actually get really spicy. But currency nerd stuff aside, this is a really clear example of pullbacks in an uptrend, right? We have that move up, then we have these little tiny movements down, little breaths in the marathon before we continue to the upside. Pullbacks in a downtrend. This chart's clearly headed to Quadunk Nation, continuing to the downside. But we have these little pauses, little tiny moves up here, temporary moves up before we continue our downward spiral to the downside. How do you enter a trade in this situation? Well, if you want to go long in an upward trend, you might want to wait until you see a pullback because that could be a good opportunity to buy or to go long. So it's going to be like buying a discounted ticket on a roller coaster ride before it keeps climbing. Also, going short could be interesting too, right? Because in a downward pullback, it might seem like a good opportunity to sell short. So think of borrowing a stock like renting to sell it high during the pullback because you're hoping to buy it later at a lower price and return it for a profit, for some moolah. So you can join the $1 club, who knows? Ooh. Confirmation signals are also going to be really important. You don't have to use them, but you know, if you're going to be like our pal Obi, you want a bit of confluence, there's certainly some things that you can look for here. In an uptrend pullback, you're going to be wanting to look for patterns like hammers or bullish engulfing handles because they might indicate potential upwards or reversals upwards. So let's take a moment here to look. I did not make this chart. It's supposed to say WEAK, but it says WEEK. That's cool. But as you can see here, we have these pullbacks on really weak volume because it shows the uptrend wasn't that strong. We still have that movement to the downside because these big old bear candles are roaring at you much more significantly than the downtrend move. It's going to keep on keeping on. Going to keep on going there. Technical indicators also really important because certain indicators like the RSI or the stochastic oscillator, said it right, very proud, will show overbought or oversold conditions during the pullback in an uptrend, which could hint at a possible price rise. So here's an example. Here we have the 50-day MA on this chart. Again, did not make this, so I'm not sure what asset or Forex this is, but as you can see here, we have that MA. We'll bump up against it and then continue to the sell-off, right? So we have a downtrend that is being continually bolstered by these failures of the 50-day moving average. So I thought this was a pretty fun example. And then as you can see here, then what looks like it could be hinting at a reversal is this push up above the 50-day AMA. And that reminds me, how do you know when you want to exit a trade? You don't want to hold on to the trade forever. You cannot get married to this trade. I know there were a lot of jokes last week. Someone had a super chat about marrying Mara. It's like, you don't want to marry a trade. You want to wait and see how it treats you, right? Take that relationship day by day or minute by minute if you're an intraday trader, as we talk about here on Trader TV Live.
Bang.
You really want to make sure you're exiting when the price decisively breaks above resistance in an uptrend, so if the roller coaster keeps climbing, or below support in a downtrend, so the roller coaster keeps dipping, because these are price areas where the trend has historically faced difficulty continuing. One really good example is this push above the 50-day MA in this example here, right? That's a sign like, hey, maybe we broke above noted resistance. It might be time to get out of Dodge. Pullback versus reversal is also really key because a pullback is just going to be a really brief pause. As Sharif, I really like that analogy of the marathon runner before the trend continues. A reversal is going to occur when the direction flips entirely. When we're seeing a massive change of pace, that might be a sign that we have to leave post-haste because we've seen a reversal. So to avoid any potential trend reversals or getting lost in the sauce of these, as our pal Obi sometimes says, you want to be really cautious if you're going to be entering a pullback trade while the asset is approaching a major support or resistance area, because there's a chance that it could break above there or below if you're talking along. You also want to make sure you're looking out for any bearish signals if you're trying to enter an uptrend, or bullish signals if you're trying to enter a downtrend that could suggest or indicate a reversal on the horizon. You also, other important tips to note, you want to be using stop loss orders because you want to limit your risk in case the trade goes against you. And also, this is a really simplified explanation. We're going to be getting more into the nitty-gritty of pullback trades as the week continues. But you really want to know that day trading is something that requires a lot of discipline, something I'm learning every day. And you might want to consider paper trading or trading in the sim, as I'm doing, as I learn how to trade, before you risk any real money. The basic pullback trade is a really versatile tool, but there are going to be more advanced strategies you can use. Explore them as you gain experience, or hear us yap about them in the coming days. Bonus tip as well, imagine the pullback as a sale, because you're getting a chance to buy in the uptrend or sell in the downtrend at a potentially lower price than the main trend. So wait for these sale opportunities and take advantage of them if you can. There we go. That's
Sounds good. Thank you very much for that, Adara. As Adara was dropping hot lines, we dipped into 175 on Apple and 172 on TSLA. We got back simultaneously above 18,250 on the future. But another level that came in that's also very important is to the south side that time, 8709 or 85 on NVDA. So 870 came into play there. Whoever was calling out that level earlier, the $10 level, shout out to you. That looks like it's holding at the moment right now, or thereabouts on NVDA. Still putting a lot of lower highs and lower lows. Keep your eye out for that 880 as an area of rejection, or 878. That's the closing print too. Both look awfully good as areas of rejection if NVIDIA can't go back into Greensville as it tries to pump up again there through 878, 880. So we'll see what we get there. The 148 level on Google, the Katina Man is long there, and I happen to love that level if it comes back in and holds, especially if we hold up at these levels on the future. We get up into that 148 area, we could have a nice retracement, at least to end a view up. What is going on with Apple? Dude, I put in a stop. Why is a stop not working? All right, all good. Let's move on from that. Let's see what else is moving here. Just having a look at my small cap gappers. Let's bring in some of the small cap gappers, see what they're up to. So Go EV broke below 3. Now it's back above 3. So this one's doing the dance here with that $3 area. Not tradable for me though right now because it is below the volume weighted average price. We'll have to see if this one actually does a VWAP hold high of daybreak. It is one of those candidates at the moment, I would say, for that because it has been kind of dancing with the volume weighted average price for the majority of the day. A little bit above, a little bit below after having that big move up. So we'll see if this one presents a good opportunity later in the afternoon when the more liquid time of the day comes in. We've got a, I would say that this crest over here, if you look at it a wider time frame, it's 350. What's up, Katina Man?
I just reloaded NVIDIA 876.
The Katina Man reloaded NVIDIA 876, and he's already printing on it $3 in the money as it tanks off that level on NVDA. Great trade for the Katina Man. Shout out to him not letting NVIDIA out of the corner, beating that bad boy down all day. Anyway, back to GOEV at the moment. So this one, if it presents us opportunities for a high day break at 388, what we'll look for is this holding of the general area at VWAP. If it does that, then we'll look to build a position near that VWAP area. Something tells me it's going to likely be around that $3 area that we build the VWAP position on GOEV. So this one definitely still in play, up 58% on the day. So this one's not really giving back too much off that high, but yeah, we'll keep eyes on that. What else you got over there, Adair?
Well, the IWM is finally IW moving in the right direction. I was doing the lesson. I had my eye in it. It did not dip once below that I saw anyway, that 201.60. So I had no reason to leave. Now we are a cool 10 paper pennies in the money, so 10-cent club. Woo, woo, woo. But yeah, no, all jokes aside, I like this trade so far. Like I said, with these ETFs, I use the charts, or I'm trying to learn to use the charts much less than I use the price movement. I'll use the charts as areas that historically we have failed or seen support and resistance, but I really like to get in once I see my charts move, or my price, the book is moving in a way I like. And the book on this one did show some support at the 201.60 area, 201.70, so we built a position. Please just punch. I said we, it is me. But yeah, just me, just building that position there. We will be taking some out, or I will be taking some out around that 201.90, 202 area, saving a piece for the dream, a very small dream, a nap, if you will, around 202.30, because that was an area we had a little bit of resistance earlier, so I would like to have some shares, a scintilla of shares prepared. Should we reach that area? I think that's really interesting as well. Elon as well tagging me and saying, just to share among us, regarding pullbacks, I feel paying attention on is if there's any inverse head and shoulder or cup and handle will be very useful. I agree, and that was one thing I said too, why I wanted to include that reversal versus pullback part in the slideshow was because that's something I struggled with a lot, especially when I first started, because I am still a very new trader, and honestly, something I still struggle with sometimes. You want to make sure that you're looking at the bigger picture, as Neil says, when in doubt, zoom out, and that's something I definitely struggle with, but you want to make sure you're seeing everything the chart's doing. Are there any other volume issues at play? Are there any EMAs at play that are doing funky things? Are we seeing any balances or any different areas? Are there any technical indicators? If you look at the daily chart, are we in any key areas, right? So I think that's a really key moment as well, because I think, I think just something to keep in mind. So thank you very much, Elon, for adding that. And speaking of Elon, let's take a look at Tesla, because why not? What's life without whimsy? As someone who sits next to me sometimes says. But yeah, Tesla has been. This has been a weird one. Okay, also, I want to address this trade because this was an accidental short. So we had a fat finger moment, shocker. No, I'm joking. I am getting better about them. I had like a couple last week. This is the first one of the week today. Lost a couple pennies on this, not gonna lie. But yeah, I mean, I was trying to get a dip buy long into that 173.30. Thank goodness I did not, because next time we got into 173.30, we had this wicked sell-off, and we actually haven't come back to that area since. Tesla was really, bless you, bamboozling here. We got to that. We've been kind of skirting below the 9 EMA. After a nice move above the 9 EMA earlier, we start skirting below. Then we see a little bit of a bounce off. Then we have a bit of trouble with that 173.50 area on a closing basis. Then we don't quadunk, but we fall a little bit below that 9 EMA. And now it looks like we're short off the 9 EMA. So to say that Tesla has been a bit of a tricky one to keep an eye on would be, I think, a bit of an understatement. But you know what other mega cap I've seen some whispers of in the chat that I have my eye on is Mr. Meta. So let's see if we want to dance with Zuckerberg here. We had, like I said, the topping tail at 494 is not something I want to scoff at. Then we have, I don't want to say we have a flat bottom break, but we certainly have some interesting karma happening around 492. If we continue to see these rejections off the 90 EMA at 492, I might have to dip my toe into this short. I will be very cautious doing so, though, because this is not at all my type of trade. Like I said, Meta and the spreada does get me a little bit nervous, so I want to make sure that the spread right now about 4 pennies. So for Meta, that's not bad at all. That's like a 20 penny spread on Lily.
Honestly.
Actually, very understandable. So I'm going to keep an eye on this. I want to make sure we're keeping our heads below that 90 EMA, because if we pop above that, I'm probably going to have to exit that trade. I'm going to have to keep an eye on this. I want to wait for proper profit-taking areas before I step inside the ring here, because as I said, I am very cognizant of this bounce that Meta seems to be wanting to do at VWAP. I don't want to mess with that at all, so it would have to be a bit of a scalpier move. Also, IWM taking her sweet time. She's just marching, continuing to march towards that 202. So I'm going to let her do her thing, 21. I have no reason to leave the trade in either direction, so we're going to have to wait and see if we get some things cooking.
I like it. Oleg, tell me to look at Rivian. So this one got a nice pump up midday as a result of they're going to be able to use the Tesla supercharging network. So it looks like it dipped down into that 1075, and it's been putting consecutively higher lows and higher highs, looking to try to take that 1150. But it's been tough, obviously, for Rivian as of late after the earnings, or not the earnings call. It was the earnings call that set this one reeling, and then it reclaimed a little bit of those levels after they had the launch event for the R2 and the R3. And yeah, we gave back some of those levels as well. So on the day, it's not looking bad here, up 2.8%, looking to go 3%, trying to break above that 1150 area. This is the 5-minute look on Rivian. Let's look at the 1 minute. So with respect to the 1 minute, I don't want to say a double top, but you definitely have resistance at that 1150 area. So you're making your way up through 11 1/3 right now, Oleg. I'm not sure exactly how you're going to take this trade, whether you're taking it here in anticipation of the curl back up into 11 1/3 anyway. It looks good for now, so we'll keep eyes on that. But the trade that I wanted to take was this 148 at Google, and the Katina Man has this one at 148.05, and it came right back into 148s, and now here we go again, breaking through that 148 2/3. So Google giving you nice ranges today. Typically, you don't get that kind of range on Google. We've had, since the opening print today on Google, we've had how much? About $5 worth of range. A lot more if you're starting from 4 a.m. because we came from that 144 level and then topped out at 152. So on the day, Google's got plenty of range. And here we go again. It looks like it's going to break through the 10 period and go through the 50 cent area. So kind of disappointed in myself for not punching in at that 148 low. I could have literally risked 5 or 6 pennies as it was at 148.05, and just get in that 148 general area and then look to get out on the other side if it breaks at 148. Here goes Google again as the future pumps back up here above the 50-point level. So it looks like we might be retracing on some of these Mag 7 names. Even you got NVIDIA coming back into 880 right now as it is finding that key area of resistance that we talked about on NVIDIA. So since it broke through that level, we were looking initially at 880 as a level of support. Well, it did hold it up for a little bit. I'd say the majority of the morning, then around 1250, right before that 1 o'clock, we gave up the ghost and aggressively moved down to 870. So NVIDIA back up to 880 here. Keep your eye on this level as it was definitely a support level earlier. It could flip to be resistance, not saying it will, but it's something to be on the lookout for in case it does. So it looks like I was just a little too early with my Apple trade here as we now hold that general 175 area and look to go into 175 1/4. So Apple looking to recoup. Oops, wrong one. Where's my Apple trade? Oh, I took it off. There we go. Looking to recoup off that 175 dip momentarily, but still putting in lower highs and lower lows. So I don't want to, sing Apple's praise too much here. Still a bit of a downtrend off that 177.71 HOD. So keeping eyes on this one. The future now moving into that 75-point area as well. So we'll have to keep eyes on that. And then I got a little bit disappointed with myself because Go EV broke above that 315 area after breaking down below $3. But there we go, right back down below 3. So I'm happy the fact that I got out of that trade because, well, now it's putting in a topping tail candle, and that's not what you want to see on these small cap gappers. So keep eyes on that. What else is going on? What else go, Mr. Lib? NVIDIA on a rising wedge on the hourly. Yeah, the way that I see NVIDIA is key areas of resistance and support. So if it breaks and holds above that 880, maybe we'll look to get in on the NVDL or NVDS. In case you're wondering what those are NVIDIA derivatives. So if you don't want to trade the $880 name, you can trade NVDS, NVDL, NVDX, NVDX being the most expensive of the three in that 90 some odd dollar range. At least it was on Friday. I didn't look at it today. So yeah, we're getting a curl up on all these Mag 7 names. None are accepted. Even Tesla now back into that 172 and 2/3. We'll have to see if NVIDIA, which I think is probably leading the market today and has been for a while, takes us back to the high side. And again, there's a little bit of overlap between the chart on the NQ and on NVIDIA. And a little bit less than there was on Friday, on Thursday, and Wednesday. It's been very, very close in chart shape and chart look between the NQ and NVIDIA. And today we have that down into the right move. A bit of a consolidation sideways here, as you can see at 880, just like we did with the future at 18.3. And then to reclaim 880 is kind of like almost the reclaim of 18.3 here. So, you know, not exactly that way, but something to look at here if you're looking for some, you know, some confluence between the NVIDIA chart and the NQ chart. So keep eyes here on all these Mag 7 names. One thing I haven't talked about, I know Adair talked about it a little bit, was Meta. So Meta's been awfully rangy. And I know Adair she said she didn't want to get into it unless the spread tightened up. And she was very confident in the levels, and I couldn't agree more with her. But we have that 494 top here that we've been, you know, ranging to or thereabouts. Technically on the day, it's 494 and a third, which is a high day. But the closing prints all at that general 494 area. So we're close right now on Meta, back into close to 494, 493 and a half. So decisions to be made. Do we take that short on META at 494 and play the range? I mean, it's up 1.9% today. Nothing to disrespect, right? Still south of $500, right? We gave up the ghost on that level last week when the market sell-off. So Meta, you know, presenting us with another opportunity here. So are many other Mag 7 names. Let's keep an eye, I would say, on NVIDIA and that 880, whether it's able to hold above it, and 18.3 on the future, whether it's able to reclaim that level, Adira.
Yeah, no, NVIDIA was interesting. I watched this fail 880 a couple times. I did get involved with teeny tiny position size. Didn't work out. We got above 881. I gave it $1. I left. Boring trade, as Neil said once, is something I'm really taking to heart, is your losing trades should be boring. This is boring. So I have to say I'm pretty proud of that. Also proud of, right now, my only positive name on the day, Mr. IWM. Whew. We're going to get, we already took some of this position out as we kind of skirted with that 201.90 area. We took out some of the position. Like I said, was always looking also to take out around that 202 area. Now we're saving a piece for the dream. And that dream will be eclipsing or traipsing, dancing with that 202.30 area. I don't know if we'll get above because we have had slightly lower highs here. The dark pools are making it kind of hard to see. There was a vaguely lower high here. We also struggled with 202, which is something I have to be a little bit cognizant of as well. But I'm ready to, you know, get some of it out at 202 if we come back into that area. I would be very happy indeed. Happy with this trade though, honestly, just also happy I was patient because it took us a little while to get going. We were sitting there and then we got moving, got a little nice giddy up to the upside there. So nice look. That is, yeah, my only positive name today. It's been kind of a weaker day. You know, as I mentioned, NVIDIA and I had some battles, had some positive AMD trades, but they didn't really work out. We fat fingered some Tesla. It's okay. Like it's a Monday really. And you know, the only way that this day and week can go is up. So I want to stay positive. And we are positive on IWM is that one. Although IWM is ironically negative on the day, this trade is positive and we're continuing to inch to the upside. Joanna Brewster saying, is Google getting ready to rip? Let's see if we can search, Google search for some levels here on Alphabet. Let's pull this up. Yeah, that AI news was really interesting. And Neil was mentioning this on the show, and also Neil and I were talking about this off camera this morning. This does seem to be a little bit more of a positive story for Google. Because, Apple, we've been waiting. Like, Apple, when's your AI story going to come out? When's it going to come out? We did have that news about buying out Darwin last week, which gave it a huge intraday pop. But now, the talks that Apple might not be doing this on their own, they're going to be getting a little bit of help from their mega cap friend. That was an interesting move. Ponzi Fonzie saying rip down. Okay, here's my thing is I think that, like I said, I'm always very interested in what we do with the 9 EMA. We were rejecting off the 9 EMA for a while. Now it looks like we could be curling up. I would probably wait for a candle of confirmation. I'm also incredibly eager to see what we do at 148.67. Let me zoom out to explain why. Look at this 148.67 level. It's a bit of support earlier in the day. We have that massive bounce at open. Then we come back and look where we kind of bounce off yet again before rejecting off it. 148.67. I know it's a highly specific number, but I think what we do here could be incredibly key for Google. So I think what we do here is going to depend if we reject yet again, we're about 30 pennies away from that 148.67, or do we use it as a trampoline, as a literal, jumping off point to continue to move to the upside, because I think that would be pretty key. Yeah, I agree, Joanna Brewster. I think Google's certainly at some kind of decision point, and I think once it makes that choice, it could be a very spicy one indeed. Also, IWM, if you want to go back to 202, I'd be pleased as punch. Do your thing, 21.
Go IWM.
Do it.
You know what's not going today, Adara? Li Auto. Wow. 12% to the downside on Li Auto today. You want to know why? Look at this. Li Auto shares trading lower. The stock may be down on reports XPeng plans to launch a cheaper EV models. This is just on news that they're going to be making this cheaper EV. We haven't even seen designs. We haven't seen any production plans. We have nothing. And I'm really surprised by this, because if XPeng is to be trusted as, following through with all their promises, well, then we'd be in a way different position on XPeng now than we currently are. So anyway, the market really letting Li Auto hear it today, or see it today, baby. And we actually broke 33 bucks. We got to 32.94. So that is really, really ugly on the Li Auto chart. Look at this. This takes us, this is an ugly, ugly chart. This is as sideways and, is undiscernible a word?
Undiscernible, yeah.
Yeah,
or
this is indiscernible. Yeah, I have no idea, to be honest with you. But all I can tell you is I cannot see a trend, and this is a 4-year look here, right here on Li Auto. A little bit of up, a little bit of down, and you try to find higher lows and higher highs, but yeah, good luck with that. But anyway, Li Auto down aggressively on the day. I did not expect this. I saw it red in the pre-market. I looked over to Brendo. I'm like, oh, well, Li Auto's down. But that was like 3-4% at that point. Now we're talking almost 12%. It was lower. It was lower. On that 33 break, it's recovered a little bit into 33.25. But what a great move, for the Bears right now on Li Auto. Not involved in this name anymore, but thought I'd point it out for anybody that was interested in a possible short. Anyway, AAPL now coming back into that 175.5 frame RAM as it does that little bit of a bounce off, let's say 174.75, still putting in lower highs and lower lows though on that trend. So we haven't broken above that key crest that we made earlier. That was 173 2/3. If we get above 173 2/3, not only will you be above the 10, the 20, and the 50, but you'll also have price action confirmation that we're making a higher high. So no longer will the trend of lower highs and lower lows be intact. So we'll wait to see if we get that 2/3 of a dollar break. But then I'd say to you that if you're going to go long there, you should be looking to de-risk in front of volume weighted average price, which is at generally 176.25 right now on Apple. So we'll see what this one can do on the day. Let's look at NVIDIA, because we were talking about that 880 area being a possible resistance level on NVIDIA. And NVIDIA, it doesn't play by your rules, baby. It plays by its own rules, because breaking through 880 like it doesn't even care. Let's look at this top end consolidation area over here at 888s. That's where the Katina man originally got short, baby. 888s. It's the top area of the consolidation range that we range to. It was the Neil. It was the Neil was jamming. There he is, baby.
Listening to Mambo number 5 because of you, he says in the chat.
Why? Oh, what did I say about Mumbo number 5?
I don't know. Maybe you said something that sounded like a little bit
Maybe. Anyway, the 888s area is this is where the Katina got short, and I like this area as a top end consolidation range. If the NVIDIA makes its way up there, look for a possible short. I'm not saying to stand in front of this monster, but definitely be on the lookout there. Meta just printed above 494. We were talking about this one not too long ago as an interesting area for rejecting of that 494 area. I know Big Kyle Burdett also tried to take a Meta short earlier. I'm not sure how that all worked out for Big Kyle, but right now, Meta possibly in that 494 territory again. So this could be an interesting short, especially if the future holds up on its ascent here. Decisions to be made. Let's pull up META and see what the look is here. Yeah, it's rejecting off 494 quite aggressively here. 494.5 was the print. Now we're printed 493.60. So already $1 off that top. That range trade on META continues to print. The what's his name? Big Kyle Burdett is short at exactly 494. Shout out to you, Kyle. I happen to love that level as well. I hope you print on it. Let's see if it can make it back down to that 492 area or thereabouts. That's where we kind of had a consolidation bottom the last time we trended around there. Volume weighted average price should be noted on Meta is at 491 1/3. Had one good one earlier off of here doing it again. I like it because we did ram up here at 494. We did reject that top, so could possibly be a double top here on Meta. What's Oleg looking at? Rivian at high day. We can go big according to Oleg. Let's have a look at what Oleg is looking at right now. I think we have Rivian up on another chart over here. No, I think it's a Tesla chart. Yeah, let's go Rivian. Let's see what this one's up to. So where do we get to Rivian on here? What's the high day? Right now, 1152. Double top-ish area on Rivian, but with a higher low. So yeah, we're close, Oleg. I mean, let's see what it does at that 50 penny level, because that's where we had trouble twice, right? One time we rejected off it exactly. The other time we got into 52s or 53s, right back there right now. But Oleg, I happen to like this for you here. Maybe this is a flat top break.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because well, then you have all these ascending lows where we make higher low, with that 1150 still coming into play. So Rivian, 3.5% to the good. Nothing to disrespect off that level, that's for sure, but we'll keep eyes on this.
Also, I think too, because you have those pseudo topping tail candles showing that we have a lot of resistance at that level. I think
Well
if we break
said.
above it, it could be significant indeed.
Yes, ma'am.
But yeah, we'll have to see. I still think it's really funny as well that Elon was tweeting that they should be sleeping in the factory like he did with, was it the Model 3? Or they're not committed. So I thought, yeah, that certainly some interesting thoughts on that company have been shared by our pal Elon. But yeah, AMD, I'm trying to get out of this at one. Yeah, we got out. I was initially going to save for a little bit lower around that, not because it's VWAP, but because we had some chop and churn earlier area. That was one of my earlier areas. That 190, 130 was kind of interesting, but it looks like we have a bit of that jump off that 9 EMA, so I got out of Dodge. I did not have enough shares for pieces for the dream, so it was good. We were going to wake up, get the cold water on our face, all at one level. I'm happy I chose the level I did. We could be curling up a little bit here, and honestly, if we continue to see some confluence here, I might take like a little baby teeny tiny long at this 9 EMA, taking it to 192s, but it looks like we could be dipping lower, so I'm gonna stay out of that for now. IWM has been like just mildly IW maddening here. We are now back below 201.80s. I am still 10 cents in the money. I'm very sad I could not get my shares extricated, or at least part of my shares, part of my position extricated around that 202 area, because it seems like that was a bit of an area of resistance for IWM. And we were talking about the Jacobin and the resistance on Friday. Yeah, good discussion. But I think certainly IWM's Jacobin, if you will, is this 201.80. I do not know why. But like I said, I knew that 202 area was going to be a bit of a sticking point. Should have gotten some of the position out there. Unfortunately, we didn't. But we're recovering back into this 201.90 area quite nicely indeed. I can't say I'm displeased. I'm not pleased as punch, but I'm not displeased as punch either. Vaguely tickled pink that we do have a third of the position safely secured. Like I said, this is my only positive name because, you know, honesty is the best policy here. Although AMD is approaching positive land. We're like just barely, we're basically flat in AMD. Tesla, we're also sort of flat on thanks to a fat finger trade, and that was the only trade I had in that. So we're gonna have to wait and see what occurs. Tesla, because I did mention Elon and didn't look at Tesla, and honestly, how dare I? Let's look at the Cybertruck. Yeah, this is, like I said, really interesting because it keeps acting like it's going to continue to go down, pops up above the 90 MA, then is like, actually, wait, I prefer hibernating, and moves back down. We are seeing a little bit of something though at that 172.20, and I say something because I don't really know what it is yet. We had, no, I don't want to say double bottom because it's on the 3 minute, but we did have that move down here into 172 that then we had some buyers overwhelming sellers. We close around 172.20. Then we continue to the upside. So yeah, Tesla continuing to be bamboozling here. Not Quaduk Nation, maybe bamboozling Nation. I don't know, but Tesla certainly a little bit hard to read. Still up about 5 1/3% though. So I'm sure those Gigafactory peeps are very excited. How are you doing over here?
Looking at NVDL, because look, NVIDIA is holding up in the face of a market descent. So there is divergence now between how NVIDIA is trading and how the future is trading. And I don't want to say that's the first time today. It's not. But, you know, it's quite, unless it's foreshadowing something, because I'm seeing topping tail candles now show up on NVIDIA, where we're getting these tops being put in, and we got a lower high on the next one. So let's go ahead here and see if we're gonna get short on that level, because we're coming back into 18,250 as well. So this could be an interesting short here on NVDA. Let's go ahead and punch short. And well, we're going on NVDL. We're putting in these topping tail candles, and it's a bit of an inverse hammer candle, so not too much size. Well, looks like we're going to get maybe some support off that 18,250 on the future. If we do, then NVIDIA probably pops up here. So we'll have to look and see what we get. I'm looking at, and I saw some people talking about this earlier in the chat, the 10-year up to 1%, the 2 years up 0.5%, the 30-year though up 1 1/3. They're all very much near local highs here. I'm talking about the yields, and the yields obviously are going to be important this week because we have the FOMC meeting that starts tomorrow with Papa Powell coming on the mic on Wednesday at 2:30, so we'll have to see exactly what he talks about there and what the committee there decides. The interest rates are going to be widely speculated that we're going to hold. Even Brendo this morning told me something to the effect that, you know, there's a body of analysts now that are looking at possibly increasing rates, which I kind of find to be a little bit unbelievable, to be honest with you. So we'll see what we get here on NVDA. Right now, a little bit out of the money on this one, but I'm still seeing topping tail candles, and I'm seeing the dance happen at 18,250, albeit from the top side. So if we get that continuation on NVDA, I'm going to have to cut it.
Yeah, I mean, I added a little bit IW more to this trade. I need to stop coming up with new ways to say this ticker, but add a little bit more to this here because we are holding that 201.70 area quite nicely. I will be scalping some out at 201.80 should we get there. We'll have to find out. If we break below that 201.60 decisively, I'm outie. Au revoir. Bye, WM, is what I'll be saying to that. Shout out to Hurricane Ditka, who was basically expressing, similar to myself, some frustrations at the indecision in this name, also saying, how dare you? And yeah, honestly, how dare IWM, okay? That's what I have to say to that. But you know, that's a pun I've always kind of, I've heard that one before, and it's always kind of amuses me, so. There we go, tickled pink at that one. Yeah, let's go IWM. I feel like a football coach. You're speaking of Hurricane Ditka, I believe you get a coach there, right? And I think I'm trying to coach IWM to keep going to the upside. Let's see what's happening here. Yeah, lots of different discussion about rates. We're going to have to see. I think either way, we will hear some interesting words from Papa Powell. Also, I still think I think it was last Friday or something. At one point, you know, I remember Sharif was talking and says completely in a straight face, Papa Powell will be dropping some hot lines. And I mean, just like the commitment to that delivery is always.
I don't even think I tried with that. That's just like what I'd regularly say.
No, I know, but you said it like
you know what I mean?
Face.
Like
I was like,
I always say Neil's dropping hot lines,
Yeah.
you're dropping hot
Papa
lines.
Powell.
Papa, well, if you're dropping hot lines, I'm sure Papa's dropping.
Right? No, of course. Yeah. I mean, how dare my lines be more warm than those of Papa Powell?
Right.
No, all jokes aside, I just thought that I enjoyed the straight face delivery of that. And IWM, if you want to get to 180, I'd be okay with that. NVIDIA trend still bullish says, I do not know. Oh, I've heard of Mike Dick, Neil Roberts. Honestly, as embarrassing as, I can't believe I said Neil Roberts, the full name there. I actually know from Kicking and Screaming, the Will Ferrell movie, because he makes a cameo in that. Yes, that's how I know it. I'm going to be really, really honest. It's from my childhood. That is how I know that movie. Or that's how I know who Mike Dick is. We got some of IWM out, so we're IW moving to the upside. Let's look at NVIDIA, because NVIDIA is certainly interesting indeed. Okay, this is interesting. We're trying to like top and turn here at that 880. Honestly, I'm still happy I tried to take this short, because even though it wasn't successful, we did see a failure a couple times. I waited. We got out with some of our dignity intact. So you know what? I'm not going to sit here and complain about that. I will be watching to see what we do at 887 or 888, because we know Sean was 880. He 888 that short. That was a nice short there on that one. That pun worked better in my head. But yeah, this really nice move there. If we have that 888 rejection, I could be dipping my toe in there.
Sounds good. I had to get out of the NVIDIA short as it broke above 40. So we'll wait and see what this one does. Kind of consolidative, a little bit below 885. But I think if it gets above that general 890 level, we have an interesting trade on this one. Keeping my eye, I got to shout out Oleg, because Rivian is on its way into that 1150 area. So shout out to you, Oleg. That held 11 1/4 quite well. Still below 1145 though. I guess it's really looking for that 1150 area, because a couple of rejections off that 1150 area right now. The Future also trying to stay a little bit above 18250. So we'll see exactly what we get on that. Let's see if we get that long. Looking for a move back up into the Future as it put that higher low in there. So yeah, that's a look there. Let's see what else is moving. We didn't look at these small cappers, I don't think, the last little while. So let's have a look at that. Just see something real quick here. Yeah, it's fine. All right. So Go EV, this is classic. It looks like a VWAP hold high of daybreak, a little bit above the volume weighted average price, a little bit below. This one looks like it might be setting up for that 350, maybe even that 385 take. I think what really is going to give up, kind of indicate what this one's going to do in the afternoon is if it gets above that 350 before 2 o'clock. I don't know if we do that, because usually it's 2:30 to 4 that we have that VWAP hold high of daybreak kind of trade. So Go EV looking good right now. Everything else except Aurora Cannabis is below the volume weighted average price. So ACB rejecting $4 or thereabouts, 395 high, coming down into that 370 area. That is kind of, that's where VWAP is, but it's also the consolidation area top that we put in the pre-market. So this might be a good a hold here at this level. We'll have to watch and see if it gets that bounce. So nice little move there. All right, let's wet our beak here on some NVIDIA longs. We'll see if we can get the print there. So we get that nice one on NVDA. Let's see if we can get that move up into that 450-ish area, 40-50-ish area. I'm talking about NVDL, sorry, not NVDA. Trading NVDL, long 21s, just wet my beak there through the break of 40. But yeah, we're going to have to watch for this one, because it's putting in higher highs and higher lows off that 870 bottom, but we have that 890 area with which to contend on the actual NVDA stock. And the reason I care about that level is because it was a consolidation area top in the morning, right? So if it ends up being that, that key resistance level comes into play again, we could see this one absolutely tanking to the downside. So we'll have to see how this does it there.
Yeah, no, that's there's already a little peak water there, nice. But yeah, so this is NVIDIA. I also have my eyes on. Someone, Fault Tolerant, was saying that 880 to 890 area is a messy area for NVIDIA. I agree. I think, if we fail 888 decisively, I might dip like a couple toes in there, not the whole foot, because NVIDIA has definitely chopped me up today. I mean, case in point, all these little triangles on my chart. So I don't want to stay away from it just because I had some bad experiences earlier, but I also want to be incredibly cautious should I re-enter. So that's honestly, my honest take. And I think the biggest issue was having the right idea, but having bad points of entry. 888 was a short area here, so why did I enter 884? Do you know what I mean? Just looking at that, being cognizant of the mistakes and trying to do better in the future. Also, I did unmoor myself from IWM We have IW moved on, although it's still on my side chart. If we get back to 201.70, I will probably get back in. But I noticed we were really struggling with 201.90. I decided to get everything out there, scalp it all out in front of that around 201.85. And I have to say, I'm really proud of myself for this trade because it didn't go as high as I wanted to. I wanted 202s and then eventually 202.30s. But I'm proud because even though this trade moved a little bit slowly, as Hurricane Ditka in the short or in the chat can attest, I'm happy I stuck with it because honestly, me from a couple months ago would have bailed the second this thing took more than 10 seconds to get going. So pretty proud of this. And also happy I added a little piece here when we got back to 201.70. So I think sometimes you have to be happy with the small victories. To me, this was a small victory.
Nice.
And it's the only name I'm positive on the day. And you gotta be happy with that. Also, AMD is continuing to AM dance with that 191, 192 area. I haven't called it AMD in a while, so how dare I? Let's look at AMD. Yeah, this is, I mean, honestly, compression city. We have lower highs, we have slightly higher lows. AMD's like, you think you know where I want to go? You do not. You do not assume. I want to see what we do at VWAP because VWAP, look at this move here with this like bottoming tail candle. And then we continue to the upside, like, ooh. AMD has been a really spicy one to look at. And I think, honestly, if we bounce at VWAP, I think it could be a decent long. If we fail at VWAP, that's where things get interesting because AMD has obviously not held up every time at VWAP, but AMD, since we got over that 190 bottom, has been incredibly spicy at VWAP, that 190, 140 area. So, I mean, if you look, every time we get there, we see some kind of something. So I think this could be interesting if we come back to that area. Some mentions of Mara to see.
What is that up to today?
Amara is at 70%. I said it again, 0.7% to the upside for MARA. A little bit of this area is interesting. This bounce at 1870, we get it twice. Although, this one does answer more sometimes to Mother Bitcoin than it does to other things. So keep that in mind with regards to chart analysis. This is always my disclaimer on any crypto-related stock I will look at. Zoom out for range, says Mr. Memes. Oh yeah, I see what you mean. There's certainly, this is also interesting too, what we kind of do around that area that became VWAP, the 1920 area interesting. We pop to the upside. It's a good chart. I might need to give Mara some respect because like I said, I'm always very cognizant trading these crypto names because of their relationship to Bitcoin, but I have traded them in the past and I have no qualms about trading them again if something sets up. Also, like now IWM decides to go to 202, but you know what? We brush that off our shoulders and we keep going.
Yep. Keeping my eye on NVIDIA here, looking for that 890 move. We're long NVDL at 21s. Let's see if we can we already wet our beak there at 40s. Now we're printing 35s. Let's see if we can get a move on NVDL into around 41 or thereabouts. It's going to really obviously, not really, it's going to obviously depend on what NVIDIA does. But again, I'm concerned about that 8-9 area on NVDA because of the resistance level that it presented us earlier in the morning. The other one I'm looking at, and it goes by the name TSLA. This one really holding up well above the 50-period moving average today, even though the future absolutely sold off. You didn't get that kind of sell-off on Tesla. Sure, you got lower highs and lower lows, but they were manageable. I mean, it was not a big drop like Tesla typically does, right? And you're also getting 50-period EMA support. All the dips into that 50-period moving average after essentially 10:15 this morning has been printing favorably for the longs. Here we go. We're breaking above 173 yet again. What I would be looking at here for Tesla, if you're looking at getting quite aggressive, is that 173 3/4 break. Now, we had several attempts at that 173 3/4, initially at around 11:55 to 12 before Neil started dropping hot lines, and then 12:45 to 12:50 again. We couldn't break through that level. Now we're above 173, and what I'm looking at is that 173 3/4. So questions to be asked about Tesla, like we always ask about it in general, because it's a great day trading stock. There's no question about that. Volatility always on this name. But as I talk about that, let me tell you about this. We're getting a topping tail candle right now on the future, and that's precipitating a drop on NVDA, which is not good for NVDL. So keeping an eye on this one to see if the trend is reversing. Definitely, we still have lower lows on the NQ. We haven't printed anything above a previous high. The high that I'm looking at printing above is above 18,292. So we're not even close to that. We're at 6.5 right now. We tried to make it up into 7.5, that 3/4 point area, but what was met with a wall of sellers. And that has precipitated more down moves right now on some of these Mag 7 names. That is, unless your name is Tesla, because it's still curling up above 173 for a reason here. Tesla looking really good off that 50 period. At 172, you could make the argument for a 172 defend as well, but it's been the 50 period here as I see it on my charts. Liking this Tesla look right now. Could really be a good trade if it breaks above that $0.75 area. Tesla on the way back up, baby. Looks good. Let's see what else we're doing here with 148s. We saw the Katina Man involved in 148 on GOO, earlier, and that's presenting you multiple opportunities. Look at that. Every time it dips below 148, it's met with buyers, right? I mean, it can't really hang out below 148 for all that long. I think the lowest it's been there in this consolidation low is like 147.89. So for whatever reason, people stepping in there big on Google at 148, there is a bit of a price action level to support that 148, and that takes us into the pre-market. That was a consolidation area low. I didn't really put too much stock into that level earlier, but maybe we have to now, as it's really presenting you with an interesting level off which buyers are getting in. So right now, it's the Fuchs dancing sideways a little bit here at the 2/3, 8262 area, and that's precipitating a bit of a down move on NVIDIA.
Yeah, that Tesla curl up. I mean, Tesla does not care about your feelings. Tesla's like, I will do what I want to do when I want to do it, where I want to do it. I think it was Joanna Brewster earlier in the chat as well, saying something to the effect of Tesla like is casually extremely strong. And I mean, yeah, I mean, absolutely it is. We did have that nice catalyst on it. And even as the rest of the futures are taking a little bit of a breather, Tesla's like, not me. I still have charge in my tank. Weird analogy, but yeah, keeping going here. What a move up to the upside for this Tesla. Also, Papa Powell, speaking before Wednesday, thank you very much to Papa Powell for the 199 super chat. Is the Katina Man long on Tilray portfolio-wise?
Katina Man, you holding Tilray in the private? Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's holding it.
Yeah, he says, oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a yes from Sean.
That's not true. He said long from $500. I know for a fact it like topped out at 70 something. he's trolling us.
But yeah, no, so that is a yes to your question, Papa Powell, and very excited to hear from you on Wednesday. No, I'm joking. But yeah, this is a nice move. Also, just in time, saying Tesla runs on its own terms, and I mean, yeah, that's a very fair point. AMD, you know, as we get to near the end of the midday, I think there's an opportunity for like a 20-cent scalp here. If I can get involved 191.60 to 191.70 to 191.50, 199.40. I'd be really happy. We're having a hard time getting to that area I want, but I do not want to compromise because that was my issue with the NVIDIA, as I kept having really weak and shaky plans, and that's why they didn't work out. AMD, myself, Mike. AMD, if we don't get to that 191.67 or whatever, I'm not getting involved. So there we go. That's the look. Yeah, Tesla is almost autonomous. Honestly, I don't disagree. And they could have autonomous self-driving. So a nice pun there from Hurricane Ditka.
Yeah, Brendo telling me like they took a bit of a different angle to the FSD. It's a completely different look. I'm not sure. Brendo was explaining something to me about that. Look into it, guys, if you're going to invest in this name, obviously. Apparently, some sort of different twist into how they approach full self-drive. But Big Kyle making me chuckle there in the chat, man. We're talking about Tilray, wheat stocks, this, that, and the other, and then Big Kyle's got to drop hot lines. I've spent more money on the product than on stocks. Hashtag weed. Shout out to Big Kyle. Ram likes what she hears there, Kyle. So, yeah, you never know. Shout out to Big Kyle Burdett. Great short there, Kyle, off 494. Got to commend you on that trade again. All right, we're going to wet our beak here on this, what's it called, NVDL trade at the $0.25. See if we can get that print. There we go. We get the print there on NVDL, as we did defend that $40 level. So looking to rinse and repeat on this trade. 2 profitable trades on it. So, well, no, more than that. We had that earlier trade on it as well. So we'll see exactly what we get here, but I'm worried about that 890 being a key area of resistance. So maybe I'll get out everything of NVIDIA soon. Oleg, Rivian testing, high of day, next level. I didn't look at the next level, Oleg, but about 4 minutes left on the show. I'll look at it for you real quick here. Let's see where the next level in the line is. So you got to get above that 850, Oleg. Then we can really start celebrating here because we have a bit of a double top off that level. So definitely some sellers coming in at that 50 penny area. Oleg, I got to tell you, I mean, look at this. You hate when you see this, right? So many different price levels. Depending on the day, let's just go ahead and say that $12 area is going to be an interesting area owing to this consolidation area here in March 13th. You know, there's just so many levels off which to work on Rivian, especially lately after that big move down from earnings. Then we popped up on the Rivian event with the R2 and R3 announcement. So a lot of different price action levels that could act as support and resistance. So we'll see, Kyle. Oleg. It's a good trade for you on the day. Good calling that out there. I just, when there's just so much price action, support and resistance stuff there, it's hard to figure out which one is going to get respected. So that's it. I'm holding my NVDL trade. We'll see if we can get a move back into that top area at 890 on the actual name itself, NVDA. We're in an NVDL. I'm going to repeat this again for anybody who's joining us. If you want to trade NVIDIA and you don't want to drop $883.43 per share, but yet you want to get involved in the price action, there's a few names that you can trade here. NVDL, which is the long, NVDS, which is the short, and then there's NVDX. It's the more expensive of the three. I think there's more, to be honest with you. I just don't happen to know them. Make sure you're apprising yourself of the liquidity, the float, etc., and anything that you need to be worried about there because they're ETFs, so there could be decay if you want to hold it for a while. So make sure you're apprising yourself of every instrument before you trade it, but those are another way, another avenue to get into the NVIDIA madness if you don't want to trade options, obviously, and you don't want to hold the actual equity name itself. That is, oh, by the way, Adobe is ripping, so shout out to Benton because he mentioned that right at the top of the show. Shout out to him. I'm seeing their I can't even pronounce your name, but somebody's mentioning Adobe popping up in the chat there. So whoever's trading Adobe idea on the day, good for you guys.
Yeah, good for you indeed. Also, yeah, I think honestly, thank you for shouting out those NVDA, NVDL. Congrats on the beak wetters on NVDA or NVDL, sorry.
Yeah.
Because honestly, as someone who got very top and turned in NVIDIA, I should have been using those. So thank you for reminding us of those. Yeah, it's been quite a day. My other chip-related trade, AMD, we just got out for a bit of a loss here. We broke above that 192 area. Didn't work out. The plan wasn't maybe the greatest, but you know what is always the greatest is hearing what we have to say on the afternoon show. And of course, please check us out tomorrow with more pullback-related lessons of the day. You'll get Neil's lesson of the day as well, all these fun things that we get in the midday hour. For now, though, we'll see you tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. Friend is at the big desk.
On Monday afternoon here as we trickle to the downside for the overall market still this afternoon. Just watching yields higher across the board once again this afternoon. It's been that kind of a day. It's not a huge